guys, welcome. We got episode number 41 of the Bearzi podcast. Today, I got my friend Martin, who is a student and an aspiring entrepreneur from the UK. And we met, I don't know exactly when, but I believe it was through YouTube, through either one of the live streams or comment section. And I always put out this message where I'm always looking for people to talk to on my podcast. So if you're listening to this, if you watch my YouTube channel or if you listen to this podcast and you just want to have a conversation, let me know. I feel like having conversations, especially one-on-one conversations, are really beneficial, not just for me, where people can ask me questions, but I also like to learn from people in the younger generation, especially like Martin, who is a student. And where are you exactly? In high school, college? Like where are you currently?
Well, I'm in high school, but I'm in like college level. Do you have sixth form over there?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's basically if you don't want to go to college and learn like a trade, you can stay in high school and learn and pick like maths or like health and social care or whatever you want to do. So it's basically college, but just not in college,
Mm. So if you don't want to do that, what grade or how old does your high school end?
Well, you start the first year of college when you're 16. I think that's when you're legally like allowed to drop out, but before that you're not allowed to.
Oh, okay, I see. Because when I went to school, like we used to have grade 9 to grade 13. So it'd be like 14 until 18. So we would start college when we were 18.
Oh.
And then I was like the last year where they got rid of grade 13. So now in Canada, our school system is like grade 9 to 12. So like we go to college a little bit earlier, but I think there are options to where you could kind of stay back an extra year. And maybe it's similar to what you're talking about where you can specialize in like some maths or sciences or like some very specific courses. And that was something that I did. And I found that was super beneficial, especially like at your age. You're trying to figure out what you want to do in life,
Yeah.
right? You're trying to figure out what career or what subjects, or what type of profession you want. And that's like a difficult decision, right?
Yeah. For most people, I'd say it's beneficial, but I personally really dislike it. Like, if I could drop out right now, I would.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Like, I'm not passionate about it, Maths, economics, and sociology. Like, I don't care what Durkheim has to say about education, or I don't care about like binomial division or whatever it is,
Binomial division.
I don't know any of these things, and it's why I'm not doing good in them right now. Like, I didn't do too bad in like the last 5 years because I didn't know anything about business, so school was my only like real route. So I kind of had to try. But now that I'm putting 99% of my efforts into my agency, which is what I've been doing recently, my grades have just like depleted. Yeah.
So do you feel like you're being forced to learn something in school that goes against what you want to do? Like,
Yeah.
Is that like the big problem?
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because see, that resonates with me because when I was in school, there is this like curricular system set up where you're forced to take courses that you don't care about. Like I didn't care about history or geography or like sociology or economics. Like I don't care at all about any of those things. However, the school system is set up where they want to make well-rounded human beings, right? And I get that to an extent. Like, you want to have social skills, you want to have good language skills, you want to have good math skills. Of course, like you want to be a well-rounded human being, right? But the problem comes up when you are forcing kids that have like no interest in any of these subjects at all, and it gets really difficult for them because there's no passion, right? There's no passion or love or drive behind the work that you do. And I thought at the time the answer to this was going to college or university, because then you could specialize and you could be like, okay, I want to be in finance. So you can get a finance degree and just like specialize in that one form of education. But here we have the same thing where even in university and college, they want you to be a well-rounded human being. So when I went to university, I went for computer science, right? So I was good at maths, I was good at sciences and programming, but then they forced me to take history because it's an elective course. You need to be a well-rounded
Yeah.
person. And I got like 18% in the course, and I failed. And that just snowballed like on top of me as I went throughout the semesters in university. And it's one that it taught me a valuable lesson because I think there is something to be said about kind of forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. I think there's some value there. But at the same time, if you found something else, like you were mentioning, you're an aspiring entrepreneur. Like if you found this other avenue that gives you that passion and that drive, then I feel like you're more inclined to kind of follow that path or purpose because it will lead you to work that you find fulfilling.
Yeah.
And then that is work that you'll be able to wake up and do on a daily basis and build up that discipline, right?
Yeah. Because it's just it frustrates me because it's not only that I'm forced to do all of this like work that I don't care about, and the internet only makes it worse. I think because I see like you know Andrew Tate, like
Yep.
he'll be posting these videos of him like, guys, I'm gonna spend a week on this $800,000 rented yacht. I'm gonna be here all week, guys. And then every single time I'm in school, I'm just thinking to myself, right now, Andrew Tate is on this yacht, and what am I doing? Where's my book? I can't get it right now. I'm doing like a mass paper, like 80 questions. It's just like if it gets on my nerves.
I feel you. Yeah, the Andrew Tate phenomenon is very, very interesting. It was one that I was watching from afar, and I was trying to like I wanted to form an objective position on that guy because he obviously says some things that are, like misogynistic.
Yeah,
Like he sounds like he hates women, and obviously he got banned from all the social media companies. But the problem is with that guy, everyone sees Andrew Tate through the filter of a TikTok.
yeah,
And a TikTok is like 30 seconds, 60 seconds max, right? And everyone is seeing him in this very short clip that is taken out of context from a 2-hour podcast. And it shows him, saying hateful stuff about women, being misogynistic, being like this asshole of a guy, right? However, if you go and watch the entire podcast, and this is something that I did, I went back and I listened to I watched a long form conversations that he had with Tom Segura and Christina Pazitsky on Your Mom's House, and then
yeah,
he was on some other podcasts too, right? He Even though I don't agree with a lot of his views on women, the other 95% of his views on business, on making money, on being accountable, on being like a strong leader, a capable man, someone that demands respect, being successful, like all those things and ideas that he has are amazing. They're amazing ideas. But the problem is, if you say you're an Andrew Tate supporter, then you get grouped in with this group of people that hate women. And it's like there's like this slippery slope that it's hard to be honest, right? And it's one that I struggle with because like I don't want to get banned, obviously, on these
hmm,
social media platforms because I love this type of stuff. I love communication. I love free speech. I love conversations. However, if you listen to the full words of Andrew Tate, the business ideas he has, like you said, like the amount of money he has and how successful he is, it's so beneficial.
yeah. Like I'd say for you, seeing as you run a YouTube channel and all this, I'd say it's best to stay away from him, as you know he's banned right now. Um, and it's probably not a good idea to speak about him in a positive light.
I know. I know.
But for me, I don't run a YouTube channel or anything, so I can talk about it all I want. And yet, it does get some hate in real life but it's from people that their opinions don't matter to me in the slightest. So it doesn't bother me, if they think this or if they think that, because they haven't spent the time to listen to his views. They've just watched a few TikToks and other people's views on him instead of forming their own conclusion. So I don't think it's a big deal if it's real life.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think about his Hustler University course? Have you looked
Um,
into that?
yeah, I watched like a pirated version of like the older Hustlers University, and for the price that he sets it at, I don't wait. How much was it again? Like $50 a month,
50, yeah, 50 pounds, I believe.
£50.
UK currency, right? Isn't it?
Yeah,
So that's expensive for me, bro.
yeah.
Canadian dollar shit.
Oh no. um, I don't know. There is value in hearing what he says because I'm pretty. You can still find it on YouTube today if you just type in Leaked Hustlers University. He just goes through like lessons. Lesson one, speed. In business, you need speed. Blah blah blah. And it's true. It's very true. So I wouldn't say there's a problem with it, but it's all things that you can find for free on the internet. But I guess the same goes with every other course, so there's nothing to hate on.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, if you are someone that is lazy and you don't want to do the research yourself, because you can easily find all that information for free, in ebooks, audiobooks. You can find like audiobooks on Spotify,
Hmm.
like full audiobooks on Spotify that are free, that they're just there. And you can, read about building a business or personal finance or managing money or stocks or investing or crypto. It's all there for free if you're willing to do the work. Now, the Hustler University thing, I feel like it's good for like those lazy guys who don't know where to start, or they
Yeah,
might not be very tech savvy, where they need like that guideline of school where they go, okay, here's a subject, here's chapters 1 through 10, this is what we're learning and this is how you do it. It's very simplified, it's very basic, right? And so if you are someone that's thinking about, maybe buying the Hustlers University course, and sure, I'm not gonna like hate on someone for doing that. However, if you want to spend the time and energy, you can find a tremendous amount of information on the internet for free,
yeah,
right? And it's all about, being disciplined and how much effort you want to put into it, because how much effort you put in, that's how much you're going to get out, right? And this idea where people think like, oh, I'm just going to buy this Hustlers University course and he's going to teach me to be rich. Well, that's 100% wrong. You have to put effort into it. It's not a free ride,
yeah,
right? Nothing in business is free. It takes a tremendous amount of time and effort to build something, and I know this because of a YouTube channel. Like, I've been doing it for 3 years now, like 3 years of just putting as much energy and effort as I can. And it makes like $2 a day. You know what I mean? But it's like those are the initial building blocks you have to get the thing going, right?
yeah. Mm, but the thing about Hustlers University, I don't think there's any like actual like steps to action that he says. I think it's more just very like broad, vague, like semi helpful information. So for the people
Mm.
who are lazy, who don't know anything about like types of businesses or like ways to invest, they're hearing all of this vague information. You need to be fast. Uh, I can't think of any more any more vague. Just other vague like things. It won't help them at all because they have nothing to apply it to.
Oh, okay, I see. So if you have something that you're already doing that you can apply those lessons to, then it might be beneficial,
Yeah,
is what you're saying?
yeah.
Okay, I see. So so what what niche or goal or business are you trying to build as an aspiring entrepreneur?
Well, right now I'm trying to build like this agency that specializes in running like oh my gosh, like Facebook ads for right now it's dentists, and I'm gonna see how that goes. But if it's not successful, I'm gonna have to move on to a different niche. But yeah, mainly it's just running ads for certain businesses that haven't started that yet.
Oh, that's interesting. This is what I love about online business. There's like an infinite number of niches and business possibilities out there that like I've never even heard of. Like
Hmm.
having an agency to run Facebook ads, I don't know anything about that. But one thing that I do know about business, it's like you're probably going to fail
Yeah,
a lot in the beginning. But as long as you know that and don't let that demoralize your spirits, and make sure you just keep pushing forward and keep going, then you'll generally will be successful in the long run. Because like even my YouTube channel, like when I created it in 2007, it was like basketball about the NBA. It was like with about StarCraft and video games, and then it was about like poker, and I had all these websites and blogs and other businesses, and they all failed. Like pretty much all of them failed. The poker business, it lasted a good 9 years, so that was like my first taste of being a true entrepreneur. So that one was moderately successful. But even then, eventually it did fail as well. But it's like those failures in the beginning are so key, because as long as you if you as long as you keep moving
Hmm.
forward, and don't let them keep you down, right? And just keep, maybe the Facebook ad stuff doesn't work, but okay, that's fine. Then find the next niche, or
Yeah.
find the next business that you want to start, right? And that's what I love about being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. I've kind of like come to the realization that this most likely will not work first time. And especially after seeing all these like really small YouTubers in like the social media marketing space who have seen what's the word? Like progress in their agency, they're all saying like don't do what everyone's telling you to do, which is don't do this, don't do that. And they're all things that I'm currently doing. And I'm like, well, what do I do then? What do I do then? But I, and they're saying like, oh, you need to like get this like certain funnel, and you need to automate this process. And instead of going against the crowd, go like towards it. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like it seems way more complex. They're making it so much more complicated than like I can process, you
Mm,
know?
yeah, I hear you. Funnels, that's an interesting word. Like I've been reading a lot of books on how to build a business, because it's something that I'm not good at. To be perfectly honest, it's one of my weaknesses, I think, is, to be a businessman, right? It's not something that I do well. And so I've been reading this book by Russell Branson, which is a book that guy Hamza recommends for building a business. It's like, and they talk about like funnels and sales funnels
Hmm.
and product funnels. Like this strange word in is funnels, and how you get people to move towards a certain product, or you direct people in a certain niche. And it's all this like interesting information that, even if, like, say your business fails, you learn something along the way, right? And now
Yeah.
in your next business you have all these other ideas, right? And then you can apply them to your new business venture or whatever you want to do, right? And that learning, being, I like to call it a perpetual learner. I try to be a perpetual learner. I'm someone who is always trying to learn. And this is a weird thing for me because of my age. I just turned 38, so I'm probably double your age, right? And most people my age, like my friends and acquaintances and colleagues, education ends with school, and
Hmm.
then they're just done. Their idea of education is go to school, get your degree, and then now you enter the workforce and we're done learning.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's such a huge mistake, right? And I try to adopt this identity of the perpetual learner. I'm always trying to learn new things. I'm trying to adapt them to my business. I'm going to try to take things away from this podcast so that for podcast 42, I'll have better ideas. I'll learn something, right? I'll be a better speaker, a better communicator. And it's just always like trying to find ways to improve yourself. Even like the littlest thing, they will add up in the long term, right?
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't think I will ever, unless I reach like age like 80 and I can hardly move or anything like that. I don't think I'll ever I don't think I'll stop trying to discover new things and stop learning and all that.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a big mentality that you have to have if you want to go down the entrepreneurial space, because it's something that I didn't have. Like I didn't have that. Like when I had a business and it was making some money, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I
Yeah.
thought that was it, and I can just rinse and repeat and do the same thing over and over and make a profit. But you realize that the other people, your competition, they're outworking you
Yeah.
while you're being lazy, right? And I always had to like put that in my mind, that you always need to keep trying to improve. It's not to make more money. Everyone thinks about, oh, the bottom line, you're just trying to make more profits year over year. Like, no, that's not what it is. It's There's other people right now that are outworking you, right? Either while you're sleeping, they're getting up early at 5 and they're putting in the extra reps, right? They're reading the extra books, they're putting in the hours. And by you being complacent, you're always falling behind. And that's why, like, I always like to tell young people, especially ones that aren't so sure what they want to do with their life, or maybe they want to go to school and maybe they want to get a job. It's, embrace the role of the perpetual learner, right? And
Yeah.
just keep improving yourself and keep getting better, because that is what will hopefully make you successful long term.
Yeah. Um for me, I was gonna ask you this. What's your opinions on like people lots of people say motivation isn't real. Don't rely on motivation. What do you think about that?
Okay, so generally motivation is fleeting. Motivation is a thing where you might listen to a video, you might read a book, you might meet someone influential, and your motivation will go from 0 to 100, right? But what happens is motivation is fleeting because over time it slowly starts to decay, right? As time goes on, your motivation starts to drop, right? It starts to wane. It's sort of like most things in life. You know, when you buy a new pair of shoes, right? Oh, it's nice. You know, you try to keep them clean. You know, you don't want any dirt on them. But as the weeks go by, you just throw them on, you tie the laces, and you don't really give a shit, right? And that's kind of like what motivation is. Instead of focusing on motivation, I try to focus on discipline. And I try to focus on discipline through routine. Because if you can focus on discipline and routine where you do the same things day in and day out, that you don't get that same waning effect, right? Whereas take working out or eating healthy, for example. If you just every day you have the identity of someone that eats healthy, doesn't eat McDonald's, or tries to go to the gym a couple of times per week, and you just do that consistently every single week, you build up discipline to a point where it becomes part of your identity. And when you do that, you don't need motivation to get to the gym anymore. And that's where so many people struggle, especially my friends, right? They'll be like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to get shredded for summer. Let's go to the gym. I'm like, okay, come on, come with me. Let's go. And maybe for 2 months, we'll be going 3, 4, 5 times a week. And then all of a sudden it goes from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2. They stop going. It's once a month and then they quit, right? It's because that motivation, it falls off over time. And instead of focusing on that, you should focus on like discipline, core habits, things that you can do on a daily basis. So you don't have to rely on motivation. Where I think motivation is good, it's when you're having like a down day. That's when I really use it. Like when I'm struggling with my business or my health or my workout, or I didn't get a good night's sleep and I just feel like shit, then I'll watch a motivational video by David Goggins or Jocko Willink, to give me that little boost, right, that I need. Now I just use that from time to time. It's not something that I rely on, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to disagree with some of the things he said. Like
Sure.
just now, what's the best way to word this? How you said when you're having a bad day, you'll put on a motivational video, but most of the time you rely
Mhm.
on discipline. I think for me, I see the way I see it, every day I'm motivated, and I don't ever have to rely on discipline because I see every day as a bad day until I reach that place that I want to be at. Even if like I woke up and I had like a good day at school, I'll get home and I'll just be frustrated that I'm making no money right now, that I'm currently on the path to have to go to university, have to get a job, which is, and it scares me a little bit. And I think that fear is what motivates me, to write down all these phone numbers, to outreach, find a media buyer, find all, oh my gosh, man, I can't talk, look
No,
for
no
all
worries,
these
bro. Keep going.
things. And I think I'm like 100% motivated and 0% disciplined. And yeah, I think that's the part where I disagree with you.
Oh, that's interesting. Hmm. No, I like that. I like how, I always love people that push back on my ideas because it makes me think differently about things, right? And unfortunately, I don't get a lot of that. Um, but so you maintain motivation on a daily basis because you hate what you're being forced to do right now, and you haven't reached the goals that you love. Is,
Yes.
is that sort of like kind of what it is?
Yeah.
Hmm. But what happens? So you don't have any like really bad days?
Mm, what do you mean by a really bad day?
Like say for example for me, like when I wake up, generally I'm pretty super motivated, right? I have like videos that I want to shoot. I have videos that I want to edit. I'm always writing, thinking about new ideas, a newsletter I want to write. Like I'm always doing stuff, right? But then maybe this is a difference in our age where my son will be crying all night, so I get like 2 hours of sleep, and then my daughter won't eat lunch, so I'm struggling with that. And then I go to work, my day job, and have a shit day, and I come home and I'm exhausted, right? And then I didn't do a workout. Like those are like my really really bad days where I feel like shit. and then the next day I feel like almost I'm demotivated to do anything because I've been had such a terrible day and nothing's working out for me. And that's when I will use like a motivational video to sort of boost me up and get me back to baseline. Whereas, this shitty day that I had takes me down, and I can slowly work my way back up, but I'll like maybe like I use some external source of motivation to get me back to that baseline level. But maybe it's because, like, again, it's all about perspective, right? Like where I'm in my life is completely different
Hmm.
where you are. And just because I believe in one thing, that doesn't mean you have to as well, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay, so in my instance, I guess a really bad day would be like, uh, I wake up late, I don't have time for breakfast, I walk to school, uh, it's raining, my feet get all wet, something bad happens in school, I get bad results, I get home, I go to taekwondo, I have a terrible session, just like bad things stacking up and up. And I guess that happens pretty often, like where several reoccurring bad things will happen every day. So I guess that would be a really bad day, but nothing changes. Like I still go home. I'm still frustrated that I'm at the point in life that I'm at, like this stage in life, and I still, I'm not making money. I'm still on the way to go to university, and even though my day was horrible, it doesn't change anything. I'm still, I don't. I feel like I have a different mindset to most people where it just happened. I think I've come like I've gotten to a point. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm able to accept most things. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently, that if like like something awful happened, like a family member like passed away, or like something terrible happened, like the house burnt down, crazy situation, I'm starting to think like I would just be able to accept it.
Wow, that's interesting. See, the way you think, I think it's definitely above the norm, I guess you would say, because I feel like most people, and I'm part of this group of people where your age, it's really difficult to be self motivated. I feel like that's a mentality that you have, or a mindset, like you said, that it almost seems kind of special. It seems like one that is comes from someone who is more experienced in life, because most people don't have that type of perspective, right? Most people, especially like when I was young, like the only person I can really relate to is like my younger self. Like when I was younger, when something bad would happen to me, like I'd just be like, "Oh, my life sucks. The world is ending. This is horrible. I'm just gonna sit down and play video games all night because I'm miserable." Right? Like I feel like the average person doesn't have that positive reaction that you have. And I think that's really interesting that you think that way at such a young age. I actually really like that.
Yeah. The way like it's very hard to explain, but the way I try to explain it to people is there's people who live in like first person and then third person. And first person
Hmm.
is like 99.9% of the population, where they they live and they're born, they just react to everything that happens, and then they die. It's so hard to explain.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But then people who live in third person, I'd say they kind of analyze everything. They're able to just accept things much easier and kind of just move on, and it's not based off reaction, it's based off just, all right, that happened, what's next. The third person one's really hard to explain. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Or
No, I know exactly what you're. I'm pretty sure I know exactly what you're talking about. I read a book once by Carol Dweck called Mindset, and she talked about there's like two types of people that have a static mindset and people that have a growth mindset. And the static mindset, these type of people, they sort of just go through the day in, day out of life. They're just kind of they're not progressing, they're not really thinking about anything. They're just going through the motions, right? They're
mm-hmm,
just existing. They're just kind of flowing through life. And the decisions that they make are based off of reactions, right? Like something good happens, they're happy, something bad happens, they're sad, and they just live based on day-to-day life. Whereas people with a growth mindset, maybe this is kind of more related to what you're talking about, where it's not static. It's not like this one standstill position where they're always looking for things, always looking to improve. Like, why did this happen? Like, why did this go wrong? Like, why do I feel like this? And always, they're viewing the world almost through a different lens than other people. And I found this very interesting because when I had a static mindset when I was younger. I never really thought about any possibilities. I never thought about being rich or successful or any of this type of stuff, right? It wasn't until like I developed like a growth mindset where I got out of that mundane flow where you're almost like a zombie. Where
Yeah.
you just like you wake up, you do the same thing, go to work, you eat, you go to sleep, you watch Netflix, and you just do the same thing day in and day out. Maybe you go, to the pub or the club with your friends on the weekend, get a couple of drinks or whatever, right? But it's not until you realize like there's another way to live, if you know what I mean. And it's like I said, like you said, it's a hard thing to explain to someone if they don't understand like that self-improvement entrepreneurial growth mindset, because it's very different than the average person, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's just a better way. I think you've just found like a much better way to explain what I've been trying to say, but I haven't been able, I haven't been able to put it into words. Wait, did you say that's in a
No,
book?
yeah, it's called Mindset by Carol Dweck, I believe. I hold on, let me get it for sure. Mindset. Carol, yeah, Carol Dweck, Dweck. It's called Mindset: The New Psychology of Success. Um, Super good book, super interesting book.
Hmm.
I read it, and she just basically talked about like those two different ways to live your life. Like you can live your life with a static mindset, and that's fine, or you can live your life with a growth mindset. And she just brings up all these examples, and this isn't like some I don't know how you would. It's not like an opinionated book. Like I believe I don't know if she's a doctor, but like this is based off of like scientific
Hmm.
information, based off of scientific studies that she's collected throughout the years. And she wrote this one book based off of all these studies. And when you said, living your life in the first person versus like third person, I knew
Yeah.
like right away kind of what you were talking about. Because when you're like stuck in that narrow way of living, you just look at the world like this
Yeah.
through like a straight lens and you don't think really about anything else, right?
Yeah. That is crazy. I did not know that there was like a book on almost exactly what I guess discovered. Because my thing is it's not scientific. It's just purely based off like perception and what I've been seeing in
Mm-hmm.
my day to day life. And because I go to school and everyone there is basically a zombie. It's kind of it's strange to watch. And I haven't seen the movie Matrix, but I've seen a few clips from it. Where like he's walking, I don't know the names, but he's walking down and everyone's kind of just like focused on their own thing, and he's like, all these people are in the Matrix, right? That's literally what I feel like. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's Neo, Keanu Reeves. I was in high school when when that movie came out. That was that's a very important movie. But the Matrix is one that when it came out, no one understood the significance of the Matrix. They just saw it as like a sci-fi movie. Like, oh, there's like this world where the robots took control of everyone, and they created this artificial universe called the Matrix, and people you can just plug in. It's like, oh yeah, that will never happen. Well,
Hmm.
oh, it's kind of happening now. Like in the real world, it's not quite the same where the robots are taking over, but there's a lot of people who just live within the Matrix, right? And
Yeah.
you don't have that like outside perspective. And that's a movie that I appreciate a lot more now. And I'm talking about the first one, like the original, like
Yeah.
the other ones, the Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions. That's okay, but like the main one, the first one had with the original storyline and the conception of all this stuff. Um, super super interesting now to think back and watch it like in 2022.
Yeah.
And it's strange because and I don't want to always get back to this guy, but Andrew Tate, he always talks about the Matrix, about people being trapped in the Matrix and not being free, right? And that's something that's it's very interesting because no one will really admit it, right? Everyone just thinks like this is how you live your life. You enter the school system, you get your education, you become a cog in the wheel. You have your place in society where you work your profession, and then you retire at 65, and then you enjoy what, 10, 15 years, and then you die,
Yeah.
right? And people think like this is the natural progression of life, whereas that might be the natural progression of life in the matrix, but if you can escape it and you can see the possibilities that there are in the world, like it's pretty crazy what you can achieve out there, right?
Yeah. I'd say I'm pretty lucky because I've before like last year when my confidence started to go up and all this, I was like relatively introverted. I was never part of these big social groups. I was never really like in, I guess you'd say, the matrix. All these people like I was never really part of these main. It's also really hard to explain. I think the amount of time I've spent distanced away from most people purely because I guess oh, this is so hard to explain.
It's like you're kind of like alone or separated from them.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. And I've had enough time to kind of form these views on like life and on people. Because let's say my life went completely differently, right? I was born, but I was super popular. I had all of these apps, Snapchat, TikTok. I'm always invited to house parties. I would never ever ever have enough time or just have enough alone time to form these like outsider views, I guess, is the
Mm-hmm.
best way I could explain it.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally relate to that, because if you're someone that, I grew up introverted as well, so I can relate to what you're talking about. Whereas, my friends, they'd want to go to the club on Friday night, Saturday night, and I'd be like, oh man, like I'd rather just like stay home and do whatever I'm doing at home. I always had this natural inclination to just be by myself. I always loved to just be by myself. I had no issues with that. Whereas my
Yeah,
friends would be like, I got to get out of the house. We got to do something. Let's go. Let's get out. Like, come on. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And so, like, I feel like if you have that extroverted personality where it doesn't mean you have to be more popular, but you have more opportunities to be out and do things, where it takes away from your time to have solidarity, like, I don't know what you would call it, but like thought, where you're
yeah,
just by yourself, where you can just think with yourself. And it's interesting because, I always keep harping back on this age thing. I guess you can call me ageist, but like when I was younger, there was none of this like social media, internet stuff where we can get information so quickly. And now young people, it's like you have, like you said, Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok and
yeah,
social media influencers and YouTube, and you have all these things where you can gain information, and it helps form your perspective at such a young age. Whereas for me, like there wasn't any of that. Like
yeah,
when I was like 17, there wasn't, like, YouTube didn't exist, right? There might have been MySpace, might have been coming out, but that was like a garbage platform, right? And so um, that having time alone to think, that's so beneficial, because it lets you reflect on your life, right? You can look at your life and be like, am I happy?
yeah,
Do I love going to school? Do I love this job that I'm in? Do I love the day-to-day grind? Like it forces you to think about your life, right? And it gives you that perspective where it's like, if you hate, and this is what I tell people all the time, if you hate your job, or if you hate what you're doing, do something about it,
yeah,
right? So many of my coworkers at my day job, they complain. They just complain and complain and complain. Work is bullshit. We don't get paid enough. The economy sucks. Taxes are too high. And it says nonstop complaining. And then I go, okay, so what do you do about it on the weekend? When work ends on Friday, right? What do you do about it on Saturday? Or you go and you watch the basketball game, or you the soccer game or the football game. Like that's what you guys do. Whereas I'm like, I dislike a lot of things in my life, so I try to do something about it.
yeah,
So Saturday morning, we're having this podcast early because we're trying to learn, we're trying to improve, we're trying to get better. I'm up writing scripts, I'm up making a video, I'm up making a newsletter post. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that, and having that time alone to yourself, it can really improve your mindset. When it becomes to like figuring out what you want to do, right?
yeah. I think that's a really good way of explaining it. Um, but while you're saying that, I was just thinking, like, imagine if my life, I had like something as insignificant as like my friend group was just slightly different, or I was just that slightly bit less introverted, or something so minor that I end up being like the 99%. Like I'll have all these apps on my phone. I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be scrolling. I'd be wasting my time. Like my future is practically already set for me, you know? Like I think that's why I think I'm just like very lucky in that sense.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's also like it's not entirely based on luck, because at the end of the day, the decisions you make are still up to you, right?
That's
Because there
true.
could be someone in your exact position would be like, oh, I'm just gonna play Call of Duty and Fortnite 12
That's true.
hours a day, right? Like there's those people as well too. But I feel like you have an interesting perspective that is mature beyond your age, where you're able to reflect, because a lot of people don't even do that, bro. Like a lot of people don't even think about their life at all, right? They don't even think about what they believe in, what they care about. Like even that super cliche phrase, like, oh, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Oh yeah, that's like such a, like a stupid thing to say, and usually when you ask people that, they laugh at you. No, but really, like, what do you want to do 5 years from now? Because
Yeah.
you can really change your life in 5 years. Like if you really focus on a certain goal or a project or where you want to be, you can make a huge improvement in just like your future self, right? And but it takes like that time where you have to reinvest into yourself, when you have to think about these things, right? Think about what does Martin want to do? Where does Martin want to be in 5 years? What's the type of work that you want to be doing on a day-to-day basis? Do you want to be stuck in a 9 to 5 day job where you're in a cubicle, on Facebook, hating your life and shooting the shit with your coworkers? Oh, I can't wait until 5 o'clock so we can get out of here. Like, is that
Hmm.
what you want to do? Right? You need to think about those things,
Yeah.
right?
The thing you said about where do you see yourself in 5 years, is that's pretty coincidental because we in school, like before the lessons start at 8:30, we have something called like tutor time, where you're just in your like little group of people and you have your tutor, basically just a teacher, and you kind of just go through like a PowerPoint. And every day for the past like week, 2 weeks, we've been talking about like the future and she's just been pushing everyone to like, oh guys, sign up for university, sign up for this apprenticeship, do this, do that. And then she'll ask us, where do you see yourself in like 2 3 years? And everyone had the exact same answer. Oh, just go to university. Oh, uh just get like an apprenticeship. And then I said, I want to run this agency. I want to be at home running my agency. And my partner, she started like giggling. I was like, what's so funny? She's like, oh, nothing. How you gonna do that? How you gonna do that? And it's just great. Like, I just can't believe people have such a narrow mindset. And I feel bad. Like, this person thinks that their only choice is to go to this one specific path. And if you don't, you're a clown. In her eyes, I'm a clown. And I was just like, that's really sad.
Hmm. Yeah, see, these things that me and you believe in, we're in the minority. The vast majority of people, especially in school, when they talk about, oh, what's your 5 year plan? The answer that your teacher wants to give is, oh, I have my degree in mathematics, or I
Hmm.
have my degree in biology, and I get a corporate job in, I don't know, like Manchester or something. I don't know, a city in the UK. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
that's the answer that they want from you. Whereas if you say, I want to be a stand-up comedian, or I want to be an online business person, like they laugh at you, because they think in their mind, based on their limiting beliefs, that is not possible,
Yeah.
because a teacher is in the world of academia, right? Or academia, or however you want to say it. And so they think the only way to be successful in life is through the education system. And I get a lot of heat on this topic from my friends and people that I love, because I put my beliefs out on the internet. I get a lot of like criticism from people that I really respect, and a lot of my friends went through the school system where they got a degree, they got an education, they got a day job, and they are way more successful than me. They have way more money than I do. They make their salary is like a lot more than mine. However, on when it's Friday afternoon, they can't wait to get out of their job. They
Yeah.
can't wait for a vacation day. They can't wait for a holiday. They can't wait for the weekend. And there's that stupid saying, "Thank God it's Friday," right? And there's this terrible saying in our
Yeah.
culture where they're so happy that it's Friday because they can enjoy a 2 day weekend. Whereas for me, I might not make as much money as you, but for me, every day is the same. because I'm just happy on a day-to-day basis where I just love what I do and I don't have to escape something that I hate. Now, if you're a person that loves law, for example, and you want to be a lawyer, you're super interested in, in becoming a lawyer, a defense attorney, or a prosecutor, then sure, go to the bar, pass the bar, get your degree.
Hmm.
I highly, 100% support that. But if you're someone that is not into like this education system, and maybe you want to be an artist or a musician or a business person, right? Then I say go for it, and you shouldn't be forced to only pursue this one path in life. Where on top of getting a degree you may or may not even use, the amount of student debt that you incur is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but in Canada, it's not as bad as the US, but you basically go into like 40, 50, $60,000 in student debt just for a 4-year program.
Yeah. My She's my tutor now, but she used to be my chemistry teacher last year. I think she, like, she has a family, she has children. I'm not sure how old she is, probably like mid 30s, I'd say. But she's still paying off her student debt to this day. And she was saying, she was saying like, "Oh guys, I'm still paying off to date," and no one had like, everyone just reacted as if that was normal. I'm like, you're almost like midway or like a third through your life and you're still paying off this debt. Like, is that not crazy? And then she was like, "No, but I'm almost finished. I still have half a year. I only have half a year left." I'm like, that's a long time. I like,
Hmm.
I don't think that's a short time, and that's just not a position I want to be in.
Yeah, and sadly, a lot of people are in that position. But you know what really drives me nuts? Like when I hear someone say, "Oh, I want to open a business. I'm going to spend $5,000. Buy a laptop and a camera and a
Mm-hmm.
light and a microphone and start a YouTube channel or build a business." The general response you get from people is that you're crazy. Why would you waste $5,000? Like that's such a waste of money.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm like, okay, you're building a business. It only costs $5,000 to start, and maybe it can turn out into a full time career. But paying $50,000 for a degree,
Mm-hmm.
that's not crazy. Spending 10 times the amount of
Yeah.
money to get into student debt where you incur interest, right? That's not crazy because both of those possibilities could work out. But one is viewed in such a negative light where people think you're just wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your money, and you're making a stupid decision that is going to negatively affect your life. Whereas I'm always like, look at the people that get like a doctor's degree or a master's degree. Like, what does that student debt look like? And there's people in the United States who are retiring and they're getting their social security checks where, they're 65 and they're getting their pension or their money, because
Mm-hmm.
they're at the end of their life, but they still have student debt that they got when they're 20 and they had it for 45 years. Like, that is a possibility too,
Yeah.
right? And it's one that it's so hard to talk about because it goes against the mainstream thought, right? Because like when I say this stuff, people think, "Oh, Derek, you're a terrible person. You don't care about education, right? Like why?" Like I had this conversation with my parents once, right? And my dad's like, "Oh, are you saving money up for your son and your daughter to go to college?" And I'm like, "Well, no." And he's like, "Well, why not?" I'm like, "Well, they don't have to go. Like if they want to go, they can go." And then
Yeah.
my parents like, "No, they have to go to school. Like education is important. They have to go." And I'm like, "No, they don't have to do anything. Like if my daughter wants to go to university, I'm on board. I'll pay for tuition, whatever she wants. But she does not have to go.
That.
Like that
Yeah.
is not a decision that is forced by me onto her. And I don't believe in that, right? And there's like this mindset of like this is what you have to do, no ifs, ands, or buts. That is such a huge flaw because what if? And the other thing that drives me crazy is why are we taking advice from people that make, I don't know, like maybe they have $1 million, maybe they make 100,000 on how to get a 9 to 5 job, and you can make 50,000, 60,000. Okay, we
Yeah.
take advice from them. Why don't we take advice from billionaires, from the billionaires, and then they can help you make millions? Like, why do we take advice from a lesser person that is lesser successful? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why is that okay? And that always infuriates me.
Yeah, I can agree. But usually it's not even like a million or 100,000 like dollars or pounds. Usually it's like 20K, you know, teachers. I see like teachers and people's parents are like the 99% influence on what they're going to do in the future. Like every day right now, again in tutor time, we're just getting pushed all of these different academic opportunities, and every single person in that class, except for me, most likely will be taking those opportunities purely because that's it's getting shoved down their throat, and I don't think that's right. You know, I don't think you should be taking advice on where you should be in the future from this chemistry teacher. Like she clearly it's not like an offensive thing to say, but I really don't think she wanted to be a chemistry teacher.
Hmm.
You know, I think I see her as like it sounds horrible, but like as a failed person, because I have two tutors and one of them also a chemistry teacher. She literally said, "No, I didn't actually want to be a chemistry teacher. I wanted to be a what was it? I wanted to like go to France and I wanted to study. It was either law or it was something." But she ended up as a chemistry teacher in this like random local high school. I'd see that as a fail, you know. So I don't think you should
Hmm.
take advice from her.
Yeah, see that's the thing that is interesting, right? You have someone that maybe they're making, 20, 30, 40, 50,000, and they're the ones that are teaching you to be successful. But when you take advice from someone that's like a super successful entrepreneur, all of a sudden, oh no, their advice is invalid.
Yeah.
And it's tough because to play devil's advocate here, I like to look at both sides of the argument. And when I think about like what's the argument against my beliefs, I came across this very interesting predicament that happened 2 years ago, or no, 3 years ago in 2020, when me and my wife, we had our first child, our daughter. And this is a very interesting thing that happened because now all of a sudden I became a parent, right? And I thought, okay, everything is going to be the same. But my instincts as a human being, they changed. As a parent, now I'm like, I want my daughter to go to school. I want my daughter to get a degree. I don't want my daughter to get a stable job and education and a pension. And I was like, wait. Why do I believe this? Like this goes 100% against my personal beliefs. But now, because I have transformed into someone that is not just Derek, now I am a father as well. You have these instincts as a parent where you want your child to do the safest thing possible, with the least amount of risk. You don't want your child to try to start a business because it might fail. They might be unsuccessful. They might have no money. They might be homeless or whatever, right? You have these worries as a parent. And it's tough because I feel like most people let their parental instincts take over their own personal beliefs that they really believe in. And this was very hard for me because I had to fight that. And I have to fight this on a daily basis where I have to decide, are my personal beliefs going to trump my beliefs of as a parent? And I have to try to fight that. And it's very interesting because I feel like lots of parents just default to that.
Hmm.
But I'm sure your parents love you, right? They want what's best for Martin. And if you tell them, oh, I'm going to get a degree in college, I'm going to get this day job that has a pension and benefits and all this type of stuff, your parents are going to feel good because they're
Yeah.
going to know that you are safe. But if you tell them you're going to start this agency that may or may not make money, that may or may not fail, which may or may not lead to anything, they are going to be inherently worried about you because of your safety, like because you're not taking the conservative option. And that's something that is that people need to be aware of. And it's very tricky because it crept up on me. All of a sudden I'm like, whoa, what is this? I'm contradicting myself. Like now I'm a hypocrite, right? I'm saying one thing, but now I want something different from my own child. And I'm like, I had to really catch myself in that moment. And I was like, wow, this is such a strange predicament to be in because I feel like so many parents, they went through that transformation, but they never thought about it. They never considered what was happening in the moment, right?
Hmm. That's actually really interesting. I've never heard of what you just spoke about, and it does resonate with me because that's exactly what my parents are like, or mainly my mum. Like, oh, you have to either go to university or get an apprenticeship. You're not doing good in school. You need to get your grades up so you can get this apprenticeship. Oh, that's so strange. I've never thought of it like that. Mm,
Yeah, it's tough because no one talks about this type of stuff, right?
yeah.
Because no one thinks deeply about their own personal thoughts and feelings. Because when I dropped out of university, my mom cried. My mom was so upset. She was like screaming at me. She cried right in front of me when I
Hmm.
told her I dropped out, and they were like so disappointed. I remember my dad, he like smashed a plate on the table, and then they basically saw me as like a failed son, right? They saw me as a failed human being. But I'm thankful enough that I had the courage to disappoint them,
Hmm.
right? And this is probably like a selfish thing to say because as a son, you don't want to let your parents down, right? Because your parents, they work hard, they raise you, they change your diapers, they buy you food, and they give you a room and like they do so much for you. And I see that now because I'm on the other side, right? But also you have to remember that this is your life,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, you're only living one life and you only have one shot at this. And I am so thankful that I at least tried, like I and tried to do something that I really love. There are days where I regret not doing it earlier, right? Like right now I'm going to turn 40 in 2 years, right? And I'm like, oh man, I wish I started when I was like 18 or 20. I wish I started then,
Hmm.
but I'm still grateful that I started now, and
Yeah.
I at least had the courage to go and do something. And I think it's good to think about both sides, right? Think about your parents' feelings, but also at the end of the day, it's your life, right?
Yeah.
You only got one shot in this world. You have to do what you think is right and what will make you happy long term. And eventually, what will happen is once your parents, they see that you're happy, and then hopefully you get a little bit of success.
Yeah.
It's funny because then they'll jump on
Yeah.
board.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, my mom is she's I hope she's moderately happy with where I
Yeah.
am in life, right? So it's not all tears.
Yeah. I think I've had that mindset for a while. Like, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to be seen as, like, a disappointment for now, because I can tell that they're not completely on board with this. Like last night I was having dinner and I was talking about my agency, and I was getting mocked. I could tell, like, my mom and my sister, they were like, "Oh, how much are you making right now?" Knowing full well that I haven't made any income yet. I'm like, I haven't made anything yet, but I'm working on it. And she's like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that." And it didn't affect me here. I don't like Nothing really affects me emotionally anymore, I'd say. But I could just tell, and I was just like, just you wait. It's just like, just give it time, and I think it it will start to show that this was the right option, and taking the safe route wasn't the right option.
Hmm. What I also recommend to people your age is that everyone gets stuck in this idea of 40 hours a week.
Hmm.
And everyone thinks that like you do your 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, or 7 to 3, you put in your 40 hours and then the week is done. You can do more than 40.
Yeah.
Like when I started this whole entrepreneurial thing, I set the scale to 60. And what I did was I was working 40 hours a week at my day job. And then on the weekends and, randomly at nights, in total, I'd put about 20 hours of work into my YouTube channel. So I have these two graphs where one is 40 and one is 20. So I was putting in 60 hours of week, 60 hours of work a week. You don't have to limit yourself to 40. And my plan was to slowly bring down the 40 and bring up the 20.
Hmm.
And right now I've got to a point where I've dropped down to my job where I work part-time. So my day job is no longer a 9 to 5. It's like a 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I work 5 hours a day. So I do 25 hours a week. But now I can put in 35 hours a week into YouTube. Like, so you don't have to limit yourself to the 40. So, like, if you want, while you're building up your agency or your business, or you're trying whatever entrepreneurial plans you have, you could also maybe, get a part-time job on the side, get a little bit of income. And maybe you can use that money to invest in some more books
Yeah.
or a new computer or a website or camera gear or whatever that you want to do for the business you're working on. And don't limit yourself to the 40-hour work week. And people will say like, "Oh, your mental health, you're going to burn out, you're going to burn out." Well, if you never go above 40, how will you know that you're going to burn out? You
Yeah.
don't. Most people just do their 40, then they're done. They just think, "Oh, if I do any more, I'm going to burn out," but they never try. And so I tried, and 60 hours a week, it's manageable. You can do it. Now, it's not something you want to do forever, but in the beginning, when you want to get the ball rolling, you want to put in those hours. You want to get obsessed. You want to put in the time, right? And don't get caught up. And I'm sure you don't need to hear this advice, but don't get caught up in people's limiting beliefs, because people will doubt you. There's going to be naysayers. People will be like, oh, why are you doing this, Martin? This sounds so stupid,
Yeah.
because they can never see your dream becoming successful. They can never see that seed, growing into something beautiful, right?
Y-
And it's like, if you just stay true to yourself and to try to put in that work early, right, it can grow to something amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the reason I haven't stopped and I don't think I will stop is because this is only today, right? But I've had this like kind of I sat down on my chair and I just started thinking like, what if I quit everything right now, like all my like everything that I want to do, and I just started doing what my parents said, and then I realized like it would probably end in suicide if I'm being
Oh
honest.
shit.
Like this is
Hmm.
today. Like I sat down maybe like an hour before the podcast, hopped on my PC, and I was like, "That's crazy." But I don't think I'm wrong. Like all these things I hate. I'm gonna, and this is like the sadness level. Okay, I'm right here right now. I drop everything. Okay, I do well in school. Yippee! I go to university. Hooray! I get a degree. Uh, I'm 30 years old now, 40 years old, and I've made literally like no progress. And I'm up here, by the way. I've made no progress up here. I've just made a bit of money, gone, maybe got married to somebody who I don't actually love because my parents are like, okay, come on, just like get with this person, blah, blah, blah. And then we have a divorce because we don't love each other. And I'll probably end up like wanting to kill myself. And then I was like, what if I take my route? I start making like a little bit of money, but a pretty good amount of money for my age. And now I start to get a bit more happy. I can drop out of school. I can outsource all my work and, make even more money. I can travel the world. I can meet somebody who I connect with, all of these things. And it's just the complete opposite.
Hmm. Yeah, and that type of life that you're describing, you can only do it like now, where you,
Hmm.
like I can't do that at my age. Like that opportunity window, it closes, right? It really closes. Like for me, like I have a wife, a house, family, kids. Like I can't just get up and move and travel and do a new business and work remote. Like it doesn't work. And especially when you're young, like time is a very, very valuable resource, because you don't have all these stupid responsibilities that will weigh you down. Like for me, in the summer, my roof was like breaking. I have to get a new roof. The dishwasher, not dish, like the dishwasher is messed up. I got to get that fixed. Like there's all these stupid things that add up in your adult life that suck your time away, and it kills me, because young people, this is when you need to take advantage of your time, right? Take advantage of the freedom that you have, the less responsibilities, and it's tough, because I know what you mean when you say like it might lead to suicide, and like it seems really tough, right? But it is a possibility. But what I usually like to tell people is, if you follow your dreams and everything fails and nothing works out, then what happens? You end up just getting a 9 to 5 job anyway. So why not try to do the thing you really love, and you'll end up at like the day job is always there. So it
Yeah.
will always be there. It will always be an option. It's always like a last resort thing. That doesn't have to be the very first thing you do, right? You know what I mean? You don't have to go for that right away. I would say like try to do what really makes you happy, like what really gives you fulfillment. And then if it doesn't work out, you can always like fall back to the 9 to 5 day job, work that for a couple of years, save up some money, then try again, right? Like that is a possibility as well.
Yeah. But you know how you said, oh, I've reached an age where I can't travel the world, I can't start a business, all this, because you have all these, all these things that come up.
Mhm.
What what is stopping you from, say, like making $1 million?
Like making them, like what do you mean, from my business?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the biggest thing is like the constraint of time that I have, because the problem is the biggest problem for me is once you get into like home ownership, for example, like when you have kids, like for me, one of the biggest things is like, as a father, is you want to have like a good neighborhood for your kids to grow up in. You want to have like a good like school, like like elementary school, like the beginning grades 1 through 8 or whatever, like the early life. Like it's good to have like school. It's good to have like a foundation of balance for your kid's life, right? And so because of that, you get trapped in this situation where you're in a community. I found like a school that I want my daughter to go to, and it's like a 2 minute walk for
Mm-hmm.
her. And it was tough for me to find this school because I want her to learn French. Like I want her to be bilingual, and so this is like the only school like in this area that does that. So then, but when you do that, you get stuck with mortgage and property taxes and all this stuff. And financially, I'm strapped to a point where like it's really difficult for me to get up and move and kind of travel and do something, right? But that is what my 20s was for. Like I did that in my 20s. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I had my poker business, that was like when I dropped out of university when I was like 19 or whatever. I was like a poker player. I had this business for like 9 years from 19 to 27, and I was like traveling the world, right? And I was going to Vegas, the Bahamas, and all over, like building this poker business that I was doing, and it was awesome and it was fun, right? And then, but eventually, like it failed, mainly on my part because my lack of progression. I had that like fixed mindset where I wasn't trying to improve. I thought like, oh, the business is doing good. I'm making like 50, $60,000 a year. I can just keep doing the same thing day in and day out. But because like I didn't have that growth mindset, it kind of failed. Right. And this is where I talk about like if everything fails, you can go back to the
Yeah.
9 to 5 job. Right. And that's what I kind of done now. And so, but again, like when you have kids, when you become a father, when you get married, you do, when you do all these things, there's all this like responsibility that comes with that. Like it's not impossible for me to move and maybe like do something, but again, it's not just me anymore. Now it's me, my wife, my daughter, and my son. Now there's 4 people, whereas before in my 20s it was just Derek and I was just
Mm-hmm.
by myself. I could do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like I was looking about move I was thinking about looking to move to Vegas. I was looking at apartments. Like I was doing all kinds of stuff because I could work remotely, because poker was like an online thing, right? I could go wherever I wanted. And so I know I have like a limiting belief now where I say I can't. I know it is possible, but also at the same time, part of my dream was building that remote workplace in this house that I bought. So
Mm-hmm.
in this room that you see me in, this was like my dream. Like when people say, "Oh, what do you want to do in 5 years?" My 5 year dream was I wanted to make a like a podcast YouTube studio in my basement, right, where I could just do the work that I love and I could just be here. And if my kids needed me or if my wife needed me, I'm just up the stairs,
Yeah.
right? And this was my dream, is this. So even though like I'm not quite remote, but we're having this podcast
Yeah.
remotely, right? And it's like a cool thing. So it's I don't know. It's a tough thing. It's hard, to be perfectly honest. Like I know I could do more, but I think I'm content and I'm really really happy if I could just do this full time. If I could make this space like just if I could just work from here and just like do this podcast, like I said, more often, maybe like on a weekly basis, that is what like brings me true happiness, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a good plan. I'd say, especially most people your age don't have anything like that. Like this point in life, yeah, as you said, Friday, Saturday comes, they just watch the game, wait for Monday to come around, and then rinse and repeat. So I think what you're
Mhm.
doing is great right now. Um,
Yeah, it's also like you have to be a little bit realistic too, right?
yeah.
Like if I and this I'm super pro traveling, working remote. Like I know a lot of people that moved to Thailand, or I think it was Malta, like these countries that have like really low valued currency where your money goes a long way and they have really low taxes for business. Like I knew so many guys that moved to Thailand to play poker online because their money is worth like nothing. Like
Hmm.
when you, especially if your money, like a British pounds, like when you convert it, you get like 10x on the
Yeah.
dollar. Like it's crazy when you do that. But again, like that's sort of a young man's game, right? Like for me to move my whole family and do that, it's like that's a little tough. But if, say, for example, you want to start a business, maybe you want to move remotely, because I know the UK, that is not cheap to
Hmm.
live in the UK. The
Very
UK is
expensive.
so expensive. It's pretty. I'm pretty sure it's up there with cost of living in the world. I'm pretty sure the UK is near, I don't know, maybe top 10 if I
Yeah,
had to guess.
I'd say so as well. I'm pretty sure one. It's kind of like New York. You know, if you want to live in London, I'm pretty sure one like single bedroom apartment would be like 3 grand a month or 2 grand a month or some.
Like British pounds?
Yeah, let me search up.
Holy shit! What's the conversion rate?
What to Canadian dollars?
Yeah, it's probably so bad, dude.
Like, I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, 1.59, 1.6. One
1.6.
one British pound is 1.6 Canadian dollars. Yeah,
So I got to spend $160 to get $100 in your
pounds. Yeah,
currency. That is, dude, that's brutal, man. That is so bad. That is so bad. I complain about the US currency because the US is 1.3. Like when I go over to the US, like I went to Detroit recently, I had to spend $100. No, I had to spend $130 just to get 100 US. Like
man.
the Canadian dollar sucks. It's so bad.
That
Like
does not sound good. I'm
I
pretty
don't think I
sure.
could even go on vacation to the UK. 1.6?
Yeah,
Yo.
almost two. That's crazy. I'm
Do you
trying to
guys have a
find.
minimum wage?
I can search up. I think it's like 20 grand, 17 grand.
Or how like is there a minimum wage per hour?
Oh, uh, if you're 23 and over,
Because
it's £9.50.
9.50.
Yeah,
Oh, because our minimum wage is like $15, I think.
oh,
So
yeah, that
hold on,
makes
what's
sense.
so 9.50? So that's like that's $15.20 Canadian. So it's the
Okay,
same.
that makes sense. Yeah,
It's pretty much the same. Yeah, like and even now, like with the whole like recession stuff, I'm sure you guys are seeing the costs
yeah,
of goods and stuff going up, right? Like it's hard, man. It's really tough.
yeah. I think one Subway is like £6 now. It's ridiculous for a
Six?
sandwich. Yeah,
That's like $10.
yeah, for a sandwich.
Bro, that's insane. Oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous.
Do you plan on always staying in the UK?
No, I've been considering like I'm really hoping within the next 2 years to be making like 5 to 10 grand a month, pure like pounds online, and then I want to move to like either somewhere super cheap like Thailand or South Korea. I've always loved South Korea.
Oh, dude, South Korea is amazing.
Have
I
you
went
been?
there. I went there a couple years ago.
That's so cool.
Um, when did I go? Can't remember the year, but I went. We went to Seoul. I went to a couple other major cities. South Korea is it's super cool. It's I don't know how to describe it. They have this very interesting way of life where they're obsessed with video games and like fashion.
Hmm.
It's like this very strange combination, but it's like South Korean people are so successful and like hardworking and look at
Hmm.
companies, like Samsung and even like their food. Like, oh man, I really enjoyed going to South Korea because and part of that is when I was younger. Wait, how old are you right now?
I'm 16.
You're 16. Okay, so when I was 15, so 1 year earlier than you or younger than you, when I was 15, I wanted to move to South Korea and become a professional StarCraft player. That was like one of my first dreams as a young person because I was really into. Do you know StarCraft, that game?
I don't know the game, but I can imagine what it's like.
So it's basically StarCraft is a game that was made in like 1990 something. It's really old. It's like this game where you have a base and a couple guys and you mine like minerals and you build up an army and then you attack the other person, right? And in South Korea, it's like their national sport. They had
Really?
like yeah, dude, it's huge. They had like 10 channels on their television, just StarCraft. Like it was everything there was StarCraft. And what happened was people like foreigners would move to South Korea just to play StarCraft. Like that, it
That's
was like a
crazy.
career. It was like everything. And it's the only country like that. Like if you were to take South Korea and have them have a StarCraft tournament against every other country in the entire world, StarCraft, no, South Korea would win hands down. It wouldn't even be close. Like it wouldn't even be close. Like that's how good they are at this one game. And what happened was I was like the best in my like little town or amongst my friends, and
Hmm.
like online I was really good. So I'm so good at StarCraft, And I saw these like tournaments in South Korea where guys were making money, and then I played against like some South Korean players online, and they crushed me. They humbled me so hard. I'm like, wow, I am shit at this game, bro. Like, thank God I didn't move there. I'm useless, right? I can't. Like, I'm so bad. But it's so interesting because there's countries like that support these very
Hmm.
niche things. Like even right now, it's literally like it's like a national sport for them.
I
It's
think.
like
Oh, sorry.
baseball or basketball or soccer or
Hmm.
something, right? That's what it's like to South Koreans.
Yeah, I think now like a League of Legends there as well is crazy. Like I'm pretty sure they have gaming cafes everywhere. So you just go there and pay like a small fee,
Hmm.
and you just like play League of Legends or Valorant or
Hmm.
whatever else they play there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've been to those gaming
Really?
cafes. Yeah, it's cool because downtown there's all these like Korean food is huge. Like Korean cuisine. Like there's all these like little spots you can go to for like Korean barbecue or Korean fried chicken
Hmm.
or like whatever dish you want. Like there's like one specialty that everyone ate was called kamjatang, which is like this pork bone soup. And it's like this soup where the meat and the bone is like really boiled down. It's like super tender, and everyone would go out and get this one soup together, and everyone would drink. And then like down the street were like these internet gaming cafes, and everyone would go and game. Like the way of life there, like especially for like a teenager, it's like the dream, man. It's so cool. Like I love South Korea so much.
Yeah, that seems great. But I would not
Hmm.
want to be born there. Like their education system is brutal.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's tough, and they also have the Asian mentality, and it's one that I had to kind of grow up with too. Being like my mom is Asian, right? And it's
Hmm.
like there's this emphasis that you have to be like an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. Like that is big in Asian culture. Like my mom has five brothers, and all of them are computer engineers, like
Hmm.
all of them. And Derek was supposed to be the next in line to do computer engineering, and it's like or be a doctor or be a lawyer, right? Like that is what is valued in their society, and it's a tough thing because parents that have that mindset, right, where like you have to do this, it's very hard on the child, right, to do
Yeah.
something else, right?
Uh, I think I can kind of relate to that, but I don't have Asian parents. I have what's it, Eastern European parents. They're both like from Bulgaria, so it's not as lenient as if I was if they were both from the UK. I have a friend, both his parents are from here. They're both British, and they're very like laid back, very relaxed. Oh yeah, you can do this, Ben. You can do that. But for me, it's like, oh, you have to take this route. You have to do this. You have to do that. You know, I'd get disciplined. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So are both your parents Bulgarian?
Yeah.
So then are you Bulgarian too, or are you British? Like how does that work?
Well, I guess I'm 100% Bulgarian, but I was born here, and
Okay, so you're born in the
yeah,
UK.
yeah.
Okay, so you're like me. My dad is uh I guess Central European. Like where is Italy and Austria? Is that like Central?
Is that
I
east,
guess you would consider Central
south?
European.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, my geography sucks. Like Western European is like France, Spain, right? Central will be like Poland, Italy, Austria, Switzerland, and then Eastern is like um, your area, right?
Yeah, north, east, south. I think is Italy not south?
South, like yeah, Italy's by the ocean, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
guess it would be south. But yeah,
Yeah.
like my dad, he has that like immigrant mentality. Like he came to Canada when he was 16. He didn't know English,
Mm-hmm.
and he just like straight up was a beast and just worked like 80 hours a week, worked like three jobs. Like that hard European mentality of like
Yeah.
like you put in the work, right? You go hard, right? Like that type of thing. Because and I feel like their view on education is like they kind of came from nothing where they had to work so hard, and now they have an opportunity to give to their son, to give to Martin, to do something with his life. So I feel like that's sort of like the European parent mindset, right?
Yeah.
Or at least that's how it was for me.
Yeah. I think that's how it is for me as well. So I can't really like blame them for telling me not to take this route because it's education is all they really know. But
Mhm.
if I simply just show them that it's profitable, I think then they'll join my side.
Mhm. And also, it's like education. It's not only through school,
Yeah,
right? Like, why does it always have to be through the like the school system? You can get a great education online,
yeah, that's true.
even just books. Like the most that I've learned from is from like my Kindle, like ebooks,
Oh, okay.
audiobooks. Like that's where I've learned the most compared to like I can't even remember anything from university. I don't know how to program. I'm still shit with computers. Like I don't know any of that stuff. Like everything that I learned in school was all useless.
Yeah,
Everything all the knowledge that I have now, it's from reading finance and philosophy and self improvement and habit change. Like that's everything that I've gained. Like that's my own personal education, right?
yeah. The way school teaches, I think it's terrible. Like I did how many years of computer science? Like 3. I know the very basics of Python, and that's it. Like
Oh my god.
I'm so bad.
Mm,
Oh my god. And everything it's just taught in such like if you want a room of students to know about um let's say like cellular biology, why would you waste an hour, you know, uh just doing some dumb like like worksheet where you have to cut it out and stick it in your book and do just teach like the content, you know? I think
mhm.
that's where school fails in like teaching people stuff.
Yeah, it's also too like you have to remember when you're a kid or an adolescent, you have a short attention span for things you don't care about,
That's true.
right? Like when I was forced to learn about history, like Canadian history, I'd be like falling asleep. I could barely focus. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I'd just like, what? Like what are we talking about? But then when I would read a book on a subject that I loved, I'd be like totally engaged. I'd be so
Hmm.
immersed in the book. I wouldn't even be thinking about being tired or sleepy or lethargic. I would just be like so invested in that thing because it was something that I cared about, right? And there's this weird thing in North America. I don't know if you guys have it in the UK where we're obsessed with this ADHD epidemic, where it's like, oh, everyone has attention deficit disorder, where kids can't focus on things,
Hmm.
and we need to give them Ritalin and medication. And it's like, young people, when you force them to do something that they have no interest in, it's so hard for them to focus on that. It's such a difficult thing to focus unless you get jacked up with caffeine or coffee or something. Then maybe that'll make a difference. But like I know exactly what that feels like when you're being forced to learn something that you don't care about at all. Like when I was learning about like integrals and calculus, I'm like, when am I going to use this?
Yeah.
When am I going to use integrals and differentiation in calculus? Like why? Like what is this useful for? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to the real world where you need to learn about stocks and investing, paying your taxes. Like that is the type of mathematical information that is like super important. And I know that like the purpose of school is not per se the actual content, it's training the mind to learn things. But I feel like training the mind to learn things that you don't care about is almost counterproductive because you
Yeah.
don't get anything out of it because you're not engaged with the actual work, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking now, like surely the best way to learn something that you're going to do for the rest of your life or for a big part of your life is by actually doing it. So I was like, why don't schools just, integrate a system where they teach you about these certain jobs? But then I was like, but then I kind of like counter argued myself and I was like, but maybe that's why the school curriculum is so vast because, kids are too young to decide what they want to do when they're older. So I guess there's no like real solution because there's always going to be a counter argument. But I will say this is definitely not the way to go.
Hmm. But the other problem that I have is why is there no curriculum that has entrepreneurship or business? Why does that not exist?
It
Like, how
does. It
come there's
does.
no? You guys have that?
Yeah, I did business for GCSEs, which is what I was doing last year and the past 2 years before that. But I will say it was completely useless.
Oh, it was useless.
Yeah.
So even though you do have it, it's still not
Hmm.
beneficial at all.
Yeah.
See, the other problem with that is probably being taught by a teacher, and
Yes.
it needs to
Yes.
be taught by an entrepreneur, right?
But
Someone
no
who's
entrepreneur
actually
is going to
done the
walk
thing.
into a high school
Yeah.
and teach business. But I don't understand why it seems cheap, but surely it's a much bigger like return on investment for the teachers and the students if the teacher just plays you a video from an entrepreneur, from YouTube instead of a teacher teaching you themselves because they have no real world experience.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's like it'd be like me trying to teach you how to play, I don't know, soccer, or not soccer, football. You call it football, right?
Yeah,
Like me trying to, it doesn't make any sense because I don't do it.
yeah,
So what, like, how is me teaching a subject that I haven't actually done in the real world? How is that applicable to young people? Whereas like the entrepreneurial stuff, I'm very confident in talking about this subject because I've gone through the trials and tribulations. I've gone through the failures. I've gone through the stages of being broke and having no money and
hmm,
struggling and having to get like a job on the side. Like I used to work at like a warehouse where I'd like pick boxes for like, I don't know, I think it was like hospitals. We'd get like syringes and gloves and masks. It's like all this. It was like a terrible job. I'm just in a dirty warehouse, trying to get some money on the side to reinvest like in my business. But like that's sometimes that's what you have to do. Like
hmm,
that's part of the journey too, right? Is you need capital, you need a way to invest, you need
yeah,
that money to get the ball rolling. And if you don't have like an angel investor or like someone that wants to invest money into your business, you have to kind of get it yourself, right? And
yeah,
that's a huge part of the process. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like people were like, "Oh, Derek's such a loser. He works at a warehouse." Well, I'm like, yeah, I do, but like, there's a purpose, there's a reason for that.
hmm,
I'm using that money to buy poker books. I bought like 9 poker books, and I read all these books about poker. Started my business, started learning, and if it wasn't for that shitty day job, then I wouldn't have had the finances to start the business, right?
yeah. I think that's where I'm at right now because I have this. I think it's a terrible job. I'm in a kitchen. I'm scrubbing plates. All the people that are dumping these plates on me, they don't what's it called? Scrape off the food. They'll just chuck it in the sink. So
Oh,
so now I've got a sink full of hot water and it's just mixed with chicken and like it's gross. And I keep telling these people like scrape the plates and they just don't do it. But
mhm.
it's what I have to do to make money to invest.
It's part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like people will like look down on you. Like, oh, why are you working this like shitty job where you're cleaning dishes? Like it's part of the process, man.
Hmm.
It's part of the journey, right? And it's interesting because like people will say like, oh, if you just went the education route, you would skip those entry level jobs. But sure, that's fair too. But like, what if you working at this shitty kitchen? And this is another thing that I believe in. I think working shitty jobs is very important because it makes you learn what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
By me working in that warehouse 40 hours a week, I was like, I hate this. I don't want to get stuck here. This is like a terrible job. This is bullshit. Like I'm killing my back lifting these heavy boxes, working in this like terrible environment. And it teaches you like, and maybe this will relate more to like your side of motivation that you believe in, where like it motivates you to get out of this stupid thing that you're doing and
Yeah.
do something better with your life. And I think it's important to work those crappy jobs, even if it's like McDonald's. If you want to work at McDonald's or whatever, there's value in that, because then you learn like, oh man, I got to get my ass in gear. Saturday, Sunday, I got to work on my business. I got to work on this agency. I got to like figure it out. I got to do something, or else I'm going to be back to washing those dishes and cleaning the sink with all that
Yeah.
chicken and garbage, right? So there's value in that too, right?
Yeah. Um. Hmm. I'm just thinking now, like that's crazy. Imagine like if just the thought of staying in that job for another like even another year is scary,
Mm-hmm.
man.
You know what I found to work for me? Again, this is just like anecdotal, but maybe you can draw some inspiration or something beneficial from my experience. But like by finding a part-time job that you dislike, um, I came across this interesting. This wasn't even something that I planned on doing, but right now I have a part-time job as a courier. So I drive around, basically pick up packages, right? But what's interesting about this is that during my like 5 hour shift where I'm just driving, I'm by myself, I can listen to audiobooks on my headphones, right? And in the beginning, I'll just like be like everyone else. Oh, listen to music, right?
Hmm.
Listen to music and just drive around. It helps pass the time. But I was like, oh, this is interesting. I can get in 4 to 5 hours of an audiobook every single day during this job while I make money. So I'm
Yeah.
sort of like killing two birds with one stone. So not only am I getting this income, to help support my family and pay for my bills and stuff, but I'm also getting a good 4 hours of education in every single day, like 5 days a week.
Hmm.
And that is how I discovered that book Mindset by Carol Dweck. During my live stream, um, someone, I can't remember who it was, but someone recommended me to read this book called Mindset. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll try it. And yeah, maybe I'll pick it up or something. And then I forgot about it. Like I didn't go and buy it. And then one day I was at work and I'm like, oh, I need something to listen to. And I was like, oh yeah, there's a book, Mindset. Someone recommended me to read. So I got the audiobook, listened to it on at work, and I finished the whole book like in a week because
Hmm.
I just kill it, right? And I was like, I am not only gaining money to invest in my business, but I am also self educating myself at the same time. And so I feel like that is also another benefit about working a shitty part time job. Maybe you can find one where you can also listen to an audiobook at the same time. And maybe you can listen to a book about building a business or personal finance or online marketing or whatever,
Yeah.
building a website, any of that type of stuff, because that is going to be related to your agency as well, right? And so I what I would recommend doing, or for whoever is listening to this, it doesn't always have to be a full time job. A part time job where you can also have the time to listen to audiobooks or listen to podcasts can also be beneficial for your business as well.
Yeah. I heard. Yeah, it was Hamza. He was talking about how a few years ago, or maybe like 1 year ago, he had a part-time job where I think it was like a night shift, and all he had to do was sit in a room, and maybe like 8 times per shift, he had to press like a button to let people in. So his whole job was just to sit down and press a button 8 times. And that is the dream job. And he said, like, he could sit there and work on his business. He could do whatever he wanted for those like 5 hours. And all he had to do was press to let 8 people inside a building. Like, that is such a good job. I
Oh, that's
wish,
amazing.
I wish I had that job.
Yeah, man. Just like search for something like that, right? Like
Yeah.
you can maybe you can knock out three birds with one stone. Maybe you get a job like that. Maybe it pays well, it keeps your parents happy, and on top of that, you are self educating yourself towards your agency. Like
Yeah.
maybe you can do three things all at once. Like man, that is awesome.
Yeah. That's a
Just
great job.
pressing a button 8 times, and you could just that's even
Sit
better
there.
than what I have
Yeah.
because I have to still focus on driving and
Driving.
lifting
Yeah.
boxes but the other thing for my job is I get a really good workout in, which is something that I like because I'm super into fitness, and
Hmm.
I'm assuming you are as
Yeah.
well too. I saw your picture on Instagram, right? And this is very common among successful entrepreneurs. The importance of fitness and working out. Where
Hmm.
not only am I making money, I'm listening to audiobooks, but I'm getting a pretty good workout in because I'm lifting like I work by our airport, so I'm lifting like airplane parts, engine parts, elevator doors, like heavy ass shit, right? I'm like, oh man, I'm like getting a good workout in every single day while listening um, to an audiobook, and I'm so thankful for like technology where I could have like wireless.
Yeah.
I don't have AirPods, like I have like an Android
Yeah.
knockoff
Same.
version, but like still, yeah, exactly like that. Like having wireless AirPods and where you can do two things at once is huge, man. It's so
Yeah.
beneficial.
Man, now I'm thinking I just need to get a new job, but like mine is terrible. I'm just
Yeah,
starting
man,
to
trust
realize
me.
how bad it is. No benefit. The only benefit is you get paid, which is practically every job. I can't listen to
Mhm.
music. I don't get a good workout in. My feet just hurt a bit because I'm standing up all day. Uh oh my, it's actually it's actually terrible. I cannot believe it, bro.
Bro, that might be like a really good step for you. Like to be perfectly honest, where get some money, right? Have a job where you can learn about ideas that will really help your business, right? And it's one that maybe you can get a workout in as well. I don't know, like a lot of things going on at once.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that'd be super beneficial, right?
I'm trying to think what type of job that would be. I'm just like, I need a job where I can just press a button 8 times and oh my gosh.
You'll be like,
Mm.
"Yo, Hamza, hook it up. Where was it?"
I'm like, oh, I think he said it was like a homeless shelter, and that's why he had to like press the button to let them in. Yeah, I think that's what it
Oh,
was.
okay, that's interesting. A
I don't.
homeless shelter.
Yeah, a place for like homeless people. I don't think we have that anything like that near our house. That's a bit
Hmm.
disappointing.
Yeah, man, just look. Like I'm sure there's something, right? Like
Yeah.
man, if you could find a job like that and you could just knock out a bunch of like books about business, like it will just like expedite your progress,
Hmm.
right? You're just gonna be learning at a rate that's so crazy. And it's something that I'm addicted to. Like even now, because of all these benefits that I get from the day job, I don't mind doing it. Like I go to it, I'm like, this is not bad. I get to listen to my podcast, I get to listen to all these books that I'm interested in, and also I'm lucky because I got a part-time job that has benefits. So they have vacation days, I have pension, I have dental, health care, like all this stuff.
Yep.
They actually give it to part-time employees too. So again, that's like another thing that might be beneficial too. We're like, oh, maybe you tell your parents, oh, I got this job, and they give me like a pension where I get investments in the stock in their stocks for their company. I don't know, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that'll also help um, persuade your parents, or maybe help them be more supportive of what you want to do from an entrepreneurial sense, because you're going to show them that you're willing to put in the work, right? You're
Yeah.
not just like focused on this one dream. You also like are trying to be responsible, save up money, because like they're gonna appreciate little things like that too, right?
Yeah. I think my main problem right now is just time management because I'm so bad. Like I'll complain about having school and how it takes up all these hours of my day plus after school homework, all this stuff. But then like a holiday will come around for 2 weeks and I'll just waste it and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like but
How so? Wasted in what
um
way?
like for example, a few weeks ago we had a 2 week holiday, like half term, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do so much, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. The holiday came around and I think I spent the first week like what was it? Playing like Overwatch 2 or Minecraft, and then the and then and then the week went by, and I don't regret doing it because the amount of motivation it gave me. But I just realized like, oh my gosh, like I just wasted all that time. And I sent a message to my friend. I was like, I made a massive mistake. Like I'm not gonna do that ever again. And yeah, ever since then
Mm,
I've just been like grinding. But yeah, time management is definitely something I struggle with because I have school. School finishes at like, and now that I'm in sixth form, I have sixth period, which finishes at like 4. And sometimes on a
oh, that's
Tuesday, I
late.
finish at 5. So I'm literally working more than a 9 to 5 on a Wednesday, or Tuesday, sorry. So every day I finish at either 4 or 5 p.m., except for Thursday. And after that I have homework
4
to
or
do,
5.
and the homework is like two different maths teachers setting me do questions 1 to 5, but every question is ABCDEFGHI, and then
Oh
that's
god.
2 teachers plus economics. Oh, by the way, Martin, you have a test on Friday, you have to revise for that, 3 pages long. And then my sociology teacher, oh, also 3 sociology teachers, oh, also you have to do pages 1 to 7 in all 3 of the booklets. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I still need to get my fitness in and do my like business work. It's
Hmm.
crazy. There's so much to do.
Hmm. Yeah, that's where you got to really drop video games,
Yeah,
Netflix, move like all like that's something that I struggled with for like the longest time. I used to spend so much time playing Call of Duty with my boys. Like on the weekend, Friday nights, we'd be playing until like 3 a.m. It's so much fun too. That's a problem. Like when your friends want to play and they, oh, let's get on Discord, let's play a couple games, you end up playing like for 5 hours. Like it's so much
yeah,
fun playing video games with your friends. Like it's so tough to get rid of that. But like what worked for me was just removing it altogether. I
yeah,
deleted all the games from my computer. I deleted all the games from my phone. Like I just deleted everything. I try not to watch like Netflix, because you just get so addicted and that kills your time,
yeah,
right? And I know Hamza talks about this a lot, where he's like, you have to get rid of instant gratification, or like even like things like TikTok, like just scrolling, it just sucks up all your time, right? And you can never get anything done. But it's like it's also like you said, it's like a learning experience too. Like you tell your friend, hey man, we just wasted so much time in this game. Like I can't be playing Overwatch anymore. Like I got things to do, right? I gotta
Hmm.
like really focus on stuff, right? And so it's also, take it in stride, right? Take it in stride. Like try to figure out, is there a way you can play maybe one day or just a little bit, or do you have to be like me where you're just so addicted that you just need to cut it off? Like you have to try to find that balance, right? That makes the most sense, where you can properly manage your time, because that's huge, dude. Time management is like
Yeah,
everything, right?
yeah. I don't struggle with like instant gratification anymore. Like all video games are gone. Like ever since that 1 week was wasted, I was like, all right, I'm done. I don't think I'll have that problem anymore. And I've also never had like the TikTok problem that most people my age do, because I've just never installed it. So it's never had like been a challenge to get rid of it. But it's like time
Hmm.
management is still a problem, even if I'm doing all the right things, because it gets to a point where I either have to sacrifice school or my goals. So I picked sacrifice in school, which took a toll on my grades. Like, I failed the maths baseline test. I only got 1 mark above the pass rate on the reset of the test. I had to reset like an economic. Like I'm not doing good academically right now, but my business on the other hand, I just hired my media buyer I can use as results to like gain clients. I have a massive list like on my, you can't see it, but on my wallpaper I have like a sticky notes like application, and I just have a long list of like dentist phone numbers that I'm gonna call on Monday um when like the opening times are better like scheduled for me. Like my business, like I think it's doing pretty good right now. There's no like definite results, but I can clearly see
Hmm.
improvements. But school, it's not looking good right now.
Yeah, it's no, that's good, man. I'm glad that you're making like progress with the business. And there's I don't always want to talk about books, but there's like an interesting book that really helped me with time management called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And he talks about how there's this thing called the resistance. And the resistance always sticks out its ugly head whenever you want to do something. And it's like your body in your mind creating these barriers where like, oh, just play the video game, it's a lot easier, you can work on the business later, or oh, just watch this movie, you can go work out and hit the gym later. And there's like
Hmm.
this resistance that's you always have to fight against on a daily basis. And Stephen Pressfield talks about the people who are truly successful, the entrepreneurs, the like those type of people, they are professionals and they take care of business and they overcome the resistance. So whenever I feel like that like little bit of procrastination, like, oh, I gotta, prepare for this podcast, or I gotta make this YouTube video, I can just maybe just look at in TikTok on my phone instead. Like I recognize like that is a resistance
Hmm.
trying to fight against me, and I try to remind myself like when you face that resistance, like take the action of the professional and do what professionals do, right? And it doesn't have to be just like a book or a person that you can look up to. Like maybe even if it's like a YouTuber like Hamza, for example. Like when I catch myself scrolling on TikTok, I'm like, oh yeah, I always think about Hamza, or think about these people that influence me to make good decisions in my life. And it sounds like you have a good control over your use of social media, which is like really good. I'm glad to hear that you don't even install the app, because I recently just deleted it. Like I feel like TikTok is such a stupid thing.
Hmm.
It's such a stupid thing
It's
to
so
have in your
dumb.
phone. It's so, yeah, it's so dumb, right? It doesn't give you anything of value. So I used to post my YouTube shorts on there, and I said, oh fuck this. I just deleted it. I just got rid
Hmm.
of it altogether. But it's like that everyday battle of be a professional, fight back against resistance. It's such a huge thing you need to do in order to be successful.
As you said that last part of the sentence, I think I just came to like a realization. Sorry, realization. I don't know. So you said well, you said TikTok is so dumb, and then I was getting ready to say, yeah, it's so dumb because you don't even remember the last like 3 videos that you saw, right?
Yeah, I don't.
But
I don't. I don't
but
remember.
then but then I had like a flashback. I was sitting like at the park with like my friend, right? And he was on TikTok, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And he's like, "Oh, I'm just scrolling, you know. Like, what's the problem?" I'm like, what's the like last 5 videos that you saw?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know." And then sorry, I'm just telling you like what's going through my mind. And then
Mm.
I had that like memory like really quickly as you're talking, and then I realized I don't think I have like any real friends anymore. I think
Oh,
there's
hmm.
like this happened in like a second. It went like that whole like time frame that I just said, it happened like that. But I just came to I don't think I have any like real friends.
Like
Yeah,
real close friends that you can relate to, type of
yeah.
thing. Hmm. Do you have like a group of friends that you hang out with, or?
Well, it used to be like that until one of them stayed with me in my school, and then the other two went to another school. But like we still talk on like a group chat and stuff.
Mhm.
It's not like we don't talk anymore. But they're just I've realized they're much more similar to each other, and I can't relate to them at all now. Like two of them, you know, they kind of just they play games, they do whatever, scroll TikTok, and then the other, who used to be like a really close friend of mine, now you know he made friends with this like other guy, like a new guy in my school, and you know he spends most of his time now like just doing weed or like uh
Hmm.
just like really bad things. So yeah, I don't think I have any like real friends anymore.
Hmm, that's interesting. In one way, it could be seen as a benefit because then you have time to
Yeah.
focus on yourself, right? I had a similar, maybe not quite the same, but I have a group of friends that we all met when we were like 5 or 6 years old, like grade one, like elementary school. We all kind of grew up together. And then to this day, like 30 years later, we're all super close, like super, super close. Like there's like five of us, like a core group, right? And it's interesting because they all went to university pretty
Hmm.
much. And what happened was we stopped hanging out, we stopped partying, we stopped playing, video games and stuff because they're all in school. And I
Yeah.
kind of got left behind because I went too, but then I dropped out. So I was sort of like the black sheep from the friend group where they're all, being successful, building up their career. But then I was in this period where I also didn't really have too many friends. I've always had lots of friends, but now they're all busy doing this one thing, and I was sort of like left to my own devices. But what happened was that's when I came up with all these ideas. Like, well, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to
Yeah.
do things. And it's sort of like that separation. You can see it as loneliness or being unpopular, or you can see it as a positive light and be like, I can like do something free of influence. I can like really focus on things that I believe in and things that I care about. And then there'll always be friends later, other people that you'll
Yeah.
meet down the line. And even like right now, I have those core group of friends. We'll see every once or twice a year. We'll have like a party in the summer. We'll have a barbecue. All our kids will play together. That's nice. But the other 99% of my time, my other friend group are people that are YouTubers, people that are entrepreneurs, people that are like I am in these like Discord groups with all these other YouTubers that are YouTube partners, and we talk about our analytics, we talk about our monetization, and like this is my core group of friends now, where it's people that are like me that are focused on improving their lives, building their businesses, and we're like learning from each other. Like that is my core friend group now because it's like that old saying, like the five people you hang around with, like you'll be exactly like them, right? It's like find that group of people that have like that winner's mentality, that entrepreneurial mentality, that they're trying to do
Yeah.
big things, right? They're thinking outside of the box, going against the norm, building a business, right? Like that will just expedite your growth so much, especially with this agency you're trying to build. It's like find those groups. I'm sure there's like tons of Discord groups where there's like people just like you, like
Yeah.
trying to find your way in the world, build a business, right? Try to maybe work remotely, live in a different country. Like there's so much out there that you could do that could definitely benefit your position, right?
Yeah, I'm in like one or two Discord groups right now, and this is like exactly a week ago. They're all in the US, so they're 5 hours behind. So I was up until like 1 a.m. on like a Discord call because like it started at 1 a.m. But I was like, let me just like join and see what happens. But it was actually really cool, like people my age talking about, oh, I'm sick and tired of using TikTok. I wanna, and they all have like agencies that are like much more successful than me, even though they're only like 18, and they're making like 12 grand a month, like 8 grand a month, and I'm like, that's
Oh
crazy. Like these,
shit.
and they're like 18. I'm like, I want to be like that when I'm 18, and I'm just asking them questions and like, yeah, do this, do that, and I think it's so cool. But I can't really consider them like a friend, you know. They're just like a person on the internet.
Hmm. But also, if you spend time with them, it will rub off on you,
Yeah,
right? And it will inspire you. And it's like if you hang out with all your friends that just want to play Overwatch, it's gonna rub off on you,
yeah,
right? You're just gonna be thinking about Overwatch. You're gonna be thinking about how to get better at the game. You're probably gonna be watching videos of like pro Overwatch players. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like the people you spend your time with, it will rub off on you, right?
yeah. I think it's kind of crazy because I like 1 year ago when I found out about self improvement. I think it's about 1 year ago, maybe two. I would hear all these. This is when I was still like a normie, you know, like I wasn't like I was still playing video games. I was still doing all of these. Like I wasn't going to the gym. I was just living life like normally, I guess. And I'd hear people
Hmm.
like these YouTubers say, cut off any like friends who like dragging you down, or like cut off any bad people in your life. Or Hamza saying, it's great just to sit down and think about things. And all of these things that like I was told to do, I was like, I would never do that. That's dumb. But like I noticed passively, I've been doing more and more of that and less and less of what I used to do, like without even intending to do it. Like now I'm at a point where I'll I'll just be thinking, like just staring at a wall thinking, and it's like, or just like working like how do I explain it? Just like relentlessly working on something that I want to achieve. Like 1 year ago, I could not have imagined doing that.
Hmm. Yeah, that looking at a wall thing sounds really dumb,
Yeah.
but it's surprisingly unbelievably beneficial
Hmm.
because most people they just live their life and they're just like go go go. They're just like doing this, doing that, reacting to this, reacting to that.
Hmm.
But no one ever like takes the time to stop and just be alone with your thoughts and think about the self, think about you, think about how was the day, are you happy, what goals you have, how are you feeling, right? And it's like the it sounds dumb to like look at a wall, but like when I got into self-improvement, I really got into meditation where every morning, and I'm not like hardcore with it, I'll just be like maybe 5-10 minutes in the morning I'll start my
Yeah.
day with meditation where I'll just like start the day and just relax and don't have to like always go crazy right away and just take the time to just be alone with your thoughts and sort of like be at peace with yourself and think about your life, gain perspective. And it's like it's again it sounds so stupid to do, but once you actually do it, it's very calming to the mind, and it puts you in a place where you can really think deeply about things, which is very, very important, because I feel like a lot of people don't do that. Like
Yeah.
so many people don't take the time out of their day to just to reflect. Like self-reflection is huge, and it's one that I think about a lot because whenever I do like these live streams on YouTube, I'm always trying to be mindful of what I say, right? Because I want to be like a positive influence, especially if, like for young people like yourself, right? I want to share my past experiences. I want to share my beliefs, and hopefully I can help someone that is in their self improvement journey, or their, starting their business or whatever it is, right? And so like if you don't take the time, to stare at a wall or be alone with your thoughts or just have like a slight meditation, you'll never really think about that type of stuff, right?
Yeah. Um, I'd say I don't. Now I'm thinking about, like, I'd say I'm on self improvement. I'm trying to increase my income. I'm trying to become fitter. I'm trying to do all of this stuff, but I don't necessarily do any of the habits that I'm told to do. And I don't know if that will rub off on me later, if I ever will do it. I don't meditate. I don't gratitude journal. I don't take cold showers. But I still feel like I'm on self improve. I've definitely improved myself.
Hmm. Well, what I how I see self improvement is like there's like 100 habits. There's like a million habits in self improvement that you can do. So what I do is I try them all, and a lot of them don't really resonate with me, or it doesn't really work. Like I can talk about cold showers all day because it's something that I've been doing for like 6 years, seven. Like I've been doing it like religiously for so long,
Hmm.
and just because it was something that worked for me, it worked for me. But it doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, right? And I feel like as long as you generally think about like maybe your health or your fitness, like that's still part of self improvement. And you sound like someone who is very introspective, especially for your age. Like I don't know any 16-year-olds that I can have a conversation with about this kind of stuff. It's very, very rare, because most people that your age that talk about like or have conversations like this never comes up, like this topic of education, of self-realization, of thinking about who you want to be, what you want to become, fulfillment, happiness. Like these topics generally don't come up in someone that I would consider what 22 years younger than me, right? And so I think you are on, or you don't even have to say you are on self improvement, but you are thinking about things that will better and improve your life. And that's what self improvement is.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think like I've tried, meditation. I've tried gratitude journaling purely because I was like, maybe it will work. I didn't, but I tried to think about it logically. Like, yes, for example, going to the gym is a part of self improvement. That
Mm-hmm.
this improves me because blah 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 blah, right? And it made sense. Uh, like increasing your like making more money is a part of self improvement. This makes sense because blah 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 blah. But then for example, like gratitude journaling, I didn't see why writing down what I was grateful for in this in this book, I didn't see why like that was helpful. Like I did it
Yeah.
for a bit and I was like, yeah, I'm grateful for this, and yeah, I am grateful for that, but it didn't change my life in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Like writing it down, it's not a contract. It doesn't change anything. And same with cold showers. Like I've tried it a bit, but it's like a normal shower. I'm still cleaning myself, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
cold. I didn't see the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like benefit. It all varies, right? Like for me, the
Yeah.
cold shower thing was I have like autoimmune disease. I have like terrible food allergies. I have eczema. I have problems with my skin that I've had my whole life. Like you probably can't see it. I'm actually having a
No,
pretty good day. There's some shit right here.
I
There's
don't
like
see it.
stuff on my knuckles, but like my generally all over my body, I have scars. I have bleeding, um, like discoloration in my skin, like dry skin, food allergy, like all this type of stuff. I have this like terrible reaction to things, right? And I'm always like itchy. Like when you get like a mosquito bite and your
Yeah.
skin is really itchy, like that's me all the time. I'm always itchy. I'm just like I always want to like rip my skin off with my fingers. It's like a terrible thing that I've struggled with my whole life. And when I got into cold showers, it was like the cold water therapy, it soothed my skin. It like calmed the itchiness. Like before a regular person, you'll never experience that because you probably just have normal skin, right? But
Yeah.
for me, it was like life changing. I was like, oh man, this is like so nice. I have a cold shower. I don't have to think about itching. It's not. It's like one less distraction in my day. And then the other benefit was like just getting in there and just being like, oh, it's so cold and just it's so difficult. It's uncomfortable, right? But
Yeah.
just like conquering uncomfortable things, I feel like is a benefit for your mind. It's just something, again, this is just applies to me. It's like, I go in, I've accomplished one thing so far that's difficult. I, done the cold shower, and then now I gotta whatever, do homework or write a script for YouTube, edit like there's all these things that are difficult tasks. And, just getting a cold shower done is like, just getting the ball rolling.
Yeah.
That's a sort of like how I see it. And the gratitude journaling thing, I do it, but I do it seldomly. I tried doing it every day, but I came to the same conclusion as you. I didn't see any immediate results. Like it was generally, it was nice. Like it's nice to look back and read, I'm grateful for my health today. I'm grateful for my parent, like that type of stuff. It's cool. But I never saw any like immediate impact on my life to the point where I thought it was necessary to continue it on a daily basis. So that's something that I just sort of do, here and there. Whereas Hamza, that guy is like all about
Yeah.
gratitude journal. Like he is all in on that. And I don't get it. Like it doesn't really resonate with me, but I think that's okay too, right?
Yeah. But he spoke about like because he was talking about gratitude journaling, and he was like, he literally wrote down, I'm grateful for this water bottle and I'm grateful for this mouse. And I was like, does that help? Like
Okay, that's a little weird.
Yeah, that's really cool that you're grateful for your mouse and keyboard. I just thought that was dumb. I think a better alternative is just writing down any like revelations you have. Like I do that on my notes. When I think it was a few days ago, I wrote down about like the first person and third person thing, living in first and
Hmm.
third person. When I finally found a way to kind of like word it, but I still couldn't word it properly, so I wrote it down. And now that I've spoken to you, I have a better view on it, and I'm gonna write that down later. I think that's way more beneficial than saying I'm grateful for this car.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he's sort of like in the philosophy of it, maybe, because I don't get it either. I'm just like, what? You're grateful for a water bottle? Like that has no application to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, okay, that's kind of cool. I guess you're grateful that
Yeah.
you have a mouse. Okay, I don't know. Like I'm not trying to like hate on the guy, but like that part of gratitude, I don't really understand. It doesn't. I don't really get it.
Yeah. Mm,
But that's what it's like for with all of us, right? I'm sure there's things that I do that you're probably like, what the hell? Like, why do
yeah.
you do that? You know what I mean? That's like everybody. So,
um. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you, what are your opinions on nofap / semen retention?
okay, so this was something that I've dived into, like SR semen retention. I've kind of followed the Reddit subreddit because you know those guys they call the people of no fap. They
Yeah.
swear by it.
Yeah.
They
Day
swear
2000.
like it's like as if it's a religion or something. Like I'm
Mhm.
like okay, so like what's the benefits here? And I came to the conclusion that like I don't think it's going to give you any type of transcendent life changing superpowers at all. I don't think it's going to do anything like that. But again, you also have to this also depends on like the person of age, right? Whereas, someone that's an adolescent, where maybe you guys are like or your relationship with girls, it's something that's very important to younger people, and you're dating, you're trying to meet someone, all this type of stuff. Whereas me, I'm married, I'm older in life. That's something that I don't really have to deal with, right? And so I think there is generally some benefit if you are someone that is like addicted to like the hub and you're just like constantly on the hub all the time. Okay, yeah, sure, like definitely no fap will be hugely beneficial for that person that obviously has an issue, right? But if that's not you, I think you know it can also be used as a tool. And I thought about this because um, I had a friend that wanted to buy a car, like not just like a regular car. He wanted to buy like a really, really nice car, like a sports car. And I remember talking to him, and I was like, "Okay, like why do you got to buy this? Like this car costs like $20,000 more than like a regular car, right?
Mhm.
Why you got to buy this level trim?" And then as I talked to him more and more, I realized that he was sort of doing it just to impress a girl, right? And so I was like thinking, like, if you just and I came to this weird conclusion, like before I ever like make a massive purchase or buy a car and I'm trying to impress a girl, like if you just like rub one out and then think think clearly, it could be also be used as a
Yeah.
benefit and be like, okay, wait, am I buying this car because I need it or just because am I trying to impress some girl, right? And I'm sure that if you if you go bust a nut or whatever, you'll think differently about making that type of purchase, right? So I'm sort of on the fence because I know like dating and sexuality and testosterone and becoming a man and going through puberty, it's tough as a man, right? And so, but also with things like Pornhub and the access to pornography, like it's instant, you can get it on your phone. But
Mhm.
like I said, if you have an addiction to that, I definitely think no fap is something worth pursuing. But the people that are like, oh, I'm on no fap day 741, I've reached this level of transcendence. I'm like, oh, I don't really think I believe that. But again, it's sort of like situational. It sort of depends. It's tough for me to give my opinion on this because of where I am in life, but I understand why people think it works. So I kind of try to see both sides of the argument.
Uh, all right. So you said it's good for people with an addiction, And I would say that I've never been addicted. I've always had like before I even knew about self improvement, it was maybe like once every 3 to 4 days, right? And that's just when I did it
Mhm.
just naturally. So I was like, oh, I'm not addicted. It's just a normal thing. But then
Yeah.
I tried to stop, and yeah, maybe I got to day like 5, but then I had to do it again, and I was like, is that not what an addiction is? Not being able to quit
Mm.
something. So even like to the outside perspective, oh, once every 5 days, that's not like, but I couldn't, even if I wanted to, which I did, I couldn't get to, day 20. I think, so surely that's an addiction.
Yeah, I guess you could see it like that. The way that I see it as addiction is for the guys that are like masturbating like 5 times a day or something, like that are chronically going at it. You know what I mean? Like there's stories like that on Reddit of dudes who are like, "Oh, I just can't stop masturbating every like 3 hours," and I'm like, "Holy shit! Every 3 hours? Is that even possible? Like,
I think,
like
I,
what is that a
I think
thing?"
that's just a really, really bad addiction. But I think like my case was still an addiction because
I see.
who smokes like, or somebody who smokes a cigarette once a day and somebody who smokes like 2 packs a day, they're both addicted. One's just way more addicted than the other.
The quantity, yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if I've gotten to a point because like I very recently relapsed. I can check my phone. Oh, I don't want to check actually. Let me check it. 2 days, yeah. So uh it's only been 2 days, but I feel like in my mind I feel like I could go on forever, but I know it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
get to day 7 and I'm gonna be like I need to do it. But
Hmm.
so I don't. Is that and is surely if I just had enough discipline, I could just eventually it won't even be in my mind.
Hmm. You know what? To be perfectly honest, I think I don't have enough knowledge on this subject to talk about it properly, where I would be confident in my perspective. And I think it's important to be able to say when you don't know.
Hmm.
Um, and this is something I struggle with. Like people ask me questions, like, "Oh yeah, I have this." I always have opinions, but I think it's really important to also talk about when you don't know something.
Yep.
And I think my experience, knowledge when it comes to the no fap world, the no fap discipline, or whatever you want to call it, is very, very limited. You know, as like right now, I have a wife, right? We sleep in the same bed, and it's like
Yep.
porn addiction is something that I don't even have to deal with at all. Like it's not a thing. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
it's completely different, right? So, whereas maybe someone that's younger or someone that has a better perspective, I would trust their information definitely more. And I would say I don't have a good opinion or answer. I feel like I don't have anything useful that I could add to the conversation of NoFap because again, it's one of those self improvement habits that I definitely think is beneficial, but it's not really applicable to me in
Yep.
my situation, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
So yeah, I feel like I don't have a good answer for you.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I'd have to find like somebody on the internet, because everyone like in my real life, like in real life, they're all doing it. Like I don't know a single person who doesn't do it at my age.
Hmm. It's like when I think about it, like is it like I'm trying to think like is it beneficial to track the days or is it good to just be on no fap and don't track
I
like I
think the
don't even
second option.
know. The second option is better,
Yeah,
like to not
I don't
even
track it.
track.
I only tracked it just now, like just to tell you. I have a tracker just to know like how frequently it happens. Like it went
Hmm.
from 3 days, and then it went from me taking it seriously, but then ending up doing it every day. And now, oh, it's such a strange cycle. But I think I'm getting to the
Hmm.
point where it's gonna just start becoming natural to not do it. But yeah, definitely tracking it but not checking is the way to go. Because if you see it as a numerical thing, it's gonna be like I think it's gonna make it way more difficult than if you just kind of make yourself forget that it exists and only when you really feel the need to do it, check how many days you've been on it.
I see. Yeah, see, this is an issue that also your generation has to deal with more that my generation never had to. Right? Like when I was like whatever 14, 15, there was no cell phones and internet and all this stuff. We'd find like a hustler porn mag in someone's dad's uncle's room or something, and then you have to like take it, go run into your tree house to beat off. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was. That's what it was like when like when we didn't have the internet and stuff like that. So it's like the modern day struggles that young men have to go through. I think you need to listen to the perspective of other young men who are
Hmm.
actually going through that as well, because that is, I feel like that's a type of knowledge you can't really get through someone that's older that hasn't really gone through that type of experience. You know what I mean? Like I
Hmm.
can't relate. Like it's tough for me to relate. I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, sure, okay, the benefits is probably good to not be beating off to porn all the time on your phone. Definitely could see that as useful, but like trying to convey that in a sentence of what I believe in, what you should do, how you should structure it. I don't really know what that looks like, right?
Yeah, I think. But one thing I've noticed, and I don't know if it's a good thing or not, and I don't know if it's from NoFap or just like my like mindset switch. Because very recently I had a different mindset to what I had like to my one now. It's one of those two. But I've noticed like my sex drive is so much lower, and all my friends, well,
Mm.
again friends my age, they're like, oh, I've been doing this, I've been doing that, like I really want to do this, and they're all like sexual things, and I don't feel any of it. All I care about right now is just making a profit. That's my only goal right now, and getting bigger, as in like size.
Hmm. See, you have your priorities. Again, it's like that your perspective on life is very interesting because most guys your age are like sports, movies, girls. Like that's what I thought about when I was
Hmm.
16, right? It was just that's all I cared about. I didn't think about going to the gym, bulking up, lean bulking, building a business, making passive, like I didn't think about any of these things. This is why like your perspective for where you are in your age is very advanced, and I find it very intriguing. Because you view the world through a lens of someone that is a lot older. Like if I couldn't see you in this call, like I'd only hear your voice, and based on these conversations we'd have, I would guess that you're closer to 20. I would never guess the age that you are right now, and I find that it's very refreshing also, with the way that you think about things. It's very mature, right? And so I don't know if the lack of nofap is a good thing, or should you go deeper into nofap? Like I'm not sure, because I feel like you have your priorities pretty much figured out, and I respect that.
Hmm. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna keep doing it and see what happens. I'm gonna go into it with very low expectations. I'm not expecting day 30 I can levitate, day 100 I can literally teleport.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna hope that like actually. Oh, I just had okay. So I don't think no fap gives you anything extra. I think it just, but I think like fapping gives. Okay. Let me find a better way to word it. If you're
Yeah.
fapping, I think you're like going down, right? Like you're getting worse. But if you're not fapping, I don't think you're getting any better. I think you're just staying on that same level.
Oh, I see. So you see it as like a detriment, like a negative habit.
Hmm. And not doing it is simply just the normal thing. You don't gain anything from it. You just don't lose anything from it.
Hmm. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, because the other weird thing too that people like to do, they like to sensationalize habits where they go like, "Oh, take cold showers and it'll change your life. It'll make everything." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like this over dramatization of doing something where it's like, it's just a shower, dude.
Yeah.
It's just a shower. Like no fap. It's just masturbation. That's just what it is. And like, why does we always have to like make it seem like this amazing, life changing,
Yeah.
philosophical event? Like it's probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's a reasonable way to think about it, right? If you fap, it's sort of like something you do that's negative, but like if you're following no fap, it's not like you're gaining superpowers or something, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. But would you say the same goes for every other habit apart from like the physical ones? Well, sorry, I worded that wrong. Apart from like ah, like when I say the physical ones, I mean like going to the gym because that one has a clear like impact on your body.
Hmm. Yeah, it's okay. So this is interesting because food and fitness it produces an effect you can see on the exterior.
Yeah.
You can tell instantly if someone is eating shitty McDonald's, Burger King, fried chicken, pizza, and they're not working out. Like that's what they look like. They look fat, and they're. I don't want to like fat shame
Yeah.
people. What's a better way to word it? Like they're unhealthy, right? You can tell. You know, if you're overweight, if you're obese, you can really tell on the exterior. And so, 100% agree on self improvement habits that improve the physical. The mental ones are a lot more tricky because you can't see mental health. You can't see the benefits that go on the inside. So I think it's very dependent on the person. So like me, for example, you know, I find benefit in having periods of meditation because it's sort of like the way I think about it is your food and nutrition is like feeding your body. Meditation is sort of like meditation and books is like feeding your mind. It's like what are you feeding your mind? It's like are you giving your mind mental junk food by watching scrolling through TikTok, or are you giving your mind mental nutrition by reading books, you know, doing meditation sessions where you can give your mind a break? It's sort of like meditation reminds me of intermittent fasting. Where fasting you can give your digestion a break from always breaking down food, or meditation you can give your mind a break from just always constantly processing information, always like worrying about things and like and your anxiety and your fears. And it's like, but that is something you can't see on the exterior, right? So I feel like the mental self-improvement habits are very dependent on the person, whereas like Hamza, for example, he clearly gets something out of gratitude journaling in his mind that maybe it makes him more happy, more grateful, it turns him into a calm or better human being. I don't know, like I can't see that, right? Because it's like on the inside. So I feel like those mental self-improvement habits are a little tricky. You know, it all kind of, it will all depend. I think it generally depends.
Yeah. It's either that. Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. It has to be like dependent on the person. Because for me, I see I see mostly these self improvement like habits as a waste of time. I think they're overcomplicating it. Like for me personally, because like I surely the only things that should matter is, you know, your physical health and your situation. Like, are those not the only two things that really do matter? Like, isn't like, you know, oh, I'm gonna sit down for 30 minutes and I'm gonna breathe slowly and I'm gonna do all of this and all of that. That hasn't really changed anything. Like your situation
Mm,
hasn't changed and neither has your body. You've simply just breathed heavily for, or sorry, breathed deeply for 30 minutes and you've closed your eyes. Like, I don't think that helps at all, you know? I think it makes, I think, oh, okay, here we go. I think it's like an illusion. You know how people,
mm.
like, they'll go to the gym and they'll be like, oh, I'm walking on a treadmill for 30 minutes, so this is really helpful. And it's not, but they feel better about themselves.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
what
know what you mean.
meditation is. I think it's
Mm,
people making themselves feel better by thinking that they're doing something beneficial when they're actually not. And same goes for like gratitude journaling and all these other habits. I think they're literally just illusions.
I see. Yeah, like the meditation one is interesting because I don't practice it deeply. Like people will talk about, oh, you meditate for half an hour, 1 hour, you get like these amazing experiences and transcendent thoughts. Whereas for me, I like to meditate 5 minutes,
Hmm.
like in the morning. Like this is like what I do is I sit at this desk where I'm sitting right now. I have my coffee, and before I start anything, I'll just sit, close my eyes, and just try to think about nothing for 5 minutes. And it's just to like relax me, just to get me to like baseline. It's not benefiting me. It's not like making me any worse. It's just getting me to that baseline. And it's sort of like just my routine. It's like
Hmm.
I get to my desk, I'm in my safe place. I just sit down, you know, think about nothing, just relax, calm my mind, and then I get to my work. And it's not like it's not really changing anything for me in my environment. There's no, you know, external benefits that you can see. It's just it's almost like it just gives me calmness, right? It kind of gives you a feeling of safety. It's just like kind of part of my routine, where it's just like sort of like something I do. Whereas coffee is the exact opposite. You, like, you drink coffee, you get that caffeine, and like bam, you're ready to go, right? And so again, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not someone that sees huge benefits from a lot of these things, but for some of them it's just part of my routine, and also just like getting me like in the environment, in the mood, and just getting me to
Yeah.
like that baseline level. And so I think that's like the main benefit for me.
Mm, okay. I had a thought. How do I word this? I'm getting lots of thoughts. I'm just struggling to word
It's good,
today. But
man. That's good.
all right. So you know how you said you sit down for 5 minutes and it just calms you a bit.
Hmm.
And you know how I said most of these self improvement habits, they don't physically affect anything, and they just mentally make you feel like you're doing something better.
Hmm.
And some people would argue that that is good because even though you're not doing anything, if you feel better, then that is still a plus, right? But
Hmm.
surely, I think the way, I don't know what's the best way to put it. My build, my player build, my mentality, is surely it's like the best because I don't need to essentially waste time on useless activities to make myself feel better when I'm already always in a content. Uh,
Like your state of mind.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, see, that makes sense, because my problem is I'm too busy in my
Hmm.
mind. I'm like a million thoughts all at once. I want to do this, like, and it ends up sort of like being a distraction where I can't focus. Like I wake up, I'm like, okay, I got to write the script. I got to make this YouTube short. I got to check. Oh, what are my analytics doing? How much revenue did I make? Do I have a newsletter? Do I got to write today? And I'm always just like, okay, stop. Like just
Yeah.
stop. And that's where like I use the meditation to just like calm all the anxieties of my mind, because my mind, it's almost like it's like a double-edged sword. It's what makes me super productive, but it's also in a detriment to me when I can't, when it takes me away from focusing in on one singular thing. And so if you aren't like me where you're not always busy in your mind, then probably like the meditation stuff or gratitude journaling or any of these other like self-improvement habits, it probably has like no benefit to
Hmm.
you, I guess, per se. Whereas someone like me, where I'm always struggling with stuff, like I'm always struggling with thoughts, I see a pretty significant benefit. Again, it's nothing massive, but it's one that's hard to explain. And it's sort of, and then also it could just be placebo.
I think
In all
that's the
honesty,
word.
it could be
That's the word.
placebo, right? Because the placebo effect, it's a real thing. Because I may think by meditating in the morning while I do my morning routine, it will make me more productive. Therefore, I believe it, so I do it. So then I think that there is positive result, and the
Yeah.
placebo effect is a real thing. And the nocebo effect is also a real thing too. Whereas if I miss my meditation session, now it's going to throw off my day, it's going to screw me up. And if I believe that, then it will affect me in real life. And so I definitely think that also is a possibility. And again, I think it definitely depends entirely on person and context, right? I think that's the best way to describe it.
Mm, I think it would be really interesting if for like you did like a 1 week or 1 month experiment where, well, before you did it, you kind of just you set yourself like what we're talking about now, how this is, you're basically trying to convince yourself that this is just placebo, and then for like
Mhm.
1 week or month you don't meditate and see if it makes any difference.
Yeah, that's definitely something. Like I did a meditation challenge like a long time ago, 3 years ago, but it was when I was like kind of new into it. I haven't really read much of the scientific literature. It's sort of like a habit that I just do it for 5 minutes, which is like nothing, and then I don't even think about it. I just like kind of get on with my day. It's nothing that's like I don't see it as something that's extremely beneficial. Whereas when it comes to intermittent fasting, working out, the type of food I eat, I think those are like the big pillars of self
Hmm.
improvement for me. Like right now, I'm fasting. I got my water, and I had two coffees, black coffee with nothing in it, 0 calories. So I've been fasting for like since 9 p.m. is 12, so around 15 hours, and I'm going to try to push it longer into the day for my first meal of the day. And my first meal is hopefully going to be something nutritious and not some
Yeah,
bullshit like pizza. And this is where like I immediately feel the physical results. I have
yeah,
clarity of mind. I can think straight because my stomach is not digesting a bowl of cereal and sugar and orange juice, and you know what I mean, like a typical North American. I don't know what you have in breakfast in the UK, but here it's like sugar, Sugar,
Yeah.
sugar, sugar is a North American breakfast. And you just feel like shit. You feel terrible when you eat that type of stuff first thing in the morning. Whereas for me, when I have my water, I have my black coffee, and I go through like my fasting protocol, I just feel good. I feel I have all my energy, all my resources to use, and I feel amazing. And it's something that I love. So that is something that I will highly, highly preach and talk about. Whereas like, meditation, gratitude journaling, it's kind of just there.
Yeah.
And I try not to think about it too much.
Yeah. Fasting is something I've wanted to try, but it will completely go against the bulk, Like,
Yo, that's different. You're trying to get a calorie surplus, right?
yeah,
That's counterproductive.
yeah.
Because you're
But
also
even
trying to
that,
trigger muscle protein synthesis. I can't say that word. Muscle protein synthesis, right? And when you're trying to build mass.
yeah. So
So
I don't
trust me, I
think
know.
it's something I can do right now. But even the bulk, like I struggle because before this, I can show you a pic. Oh, am I gonna? Yeah, I'm gonna show it. Oh my god,
No judgment.
this is me like a year and a half, something like that, before I started working out. All right.
Yo, lean gains, bro. Lean gains.
Oh no. Like that's crazy. And you can imagine how little calories I was eating then. Like,
Mm,
and like to go from that to like, oh, I need to eat 3,000 a day. Like now, before it was the appetite, which was hard. Now it's just finding food to eat. Like
mm,
I'm so used to having my 3 meals a day, and those usually aren't enough. So, but like, I can't. What food am I supposed to eat? So it's just really hard. Like getting to that
mm.
3,000 a day point.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Oh, you're same height as me. I'm like 5'10".
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was your age, I think I was like 130 pounds,
I need to search
maybe
that up in kilograms.
100 and
Uh,
130 pounds, I think. Like
100.
I
Yeah,
was like,
that's exactly how much I weigh now.
oh, is it?
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me 58 kilograms. Yeah, 58.4. Yeah, 128 pounds.
Yeah. So I was, or maybe I was a little bit less, but I was like pretty skinny, tall,
Uh,
not tall, but like skinny, lanky build, and I was someone pretty much where you were. I had to go through like a bulking phase.
yeah.
And it's interesting because your my goals in fitness has changed as I aged. It was like I was skinny and weak. Like I couldn't even bench
The
95
bar.
pounds, which was the bar plus
Yeah.
225 pounds. And it got stuck
Oh,
on my chest. Like that's how weak
yeah.
I was. And all my friends were laughing at me. And so like I had to go through like I didn't do a lean bulk. I did like a improper dirty bulk. I'm pretty sure. I just ate everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
and I have like really good metabolism where I was
Same.
eating like 6,000 calories a day, probably. Like,
What?
yeah, I go to Burger King and I'd buy 4 Whoppers. Like
Oh,
that's what I'd eat. Like the Whopper, like that
yeah.
big. Yeah, I buy 4 of them on every Wednesday. I'd eat 4. Like that was part of like my because I just needed calories.
Mm-hmm.
Is like my metabolism was crazy. Plus, I play basketball all the time, so I'm always
Yeah.
burning calories, right?
Yeah. Same.
But then as I got older, and I went through like that aesthetic phase where you're trying to build up your PRs on bench, squat, deadlift, trying to build up your shoulders and your back. Eventually, I got to a point where now I'm interested in like longevity, and it's very strange because instead of like hitting PRs and lifting for strength, I sort of like lift for hypertrophy and endurance. And it's kind of this thing where like I'm trying to stay healthy, not injure myself because I don't really care too much about my aesthetic, the way I appear anymore because I have a wife, I'm married and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And now my goals as a human being is like I want to like just be healthy, be flexible, be athletic, and trying to bench 200 pounds on the bench press. It's like it doesn't mean anything to me
Yeah.
anymore. Whereas now, if I fall and I grab a railing, I want to have good grip strength. If I fall on the ground, and I'm 80, I want to be able to do a push up and put like functional strength. It's a
Yeah.
weird thing to be interested in. And it's something that now my routine has changed a lot. Where I went from weights, now I'm like sort of into like more calisthenic body weight type movements. But it's a strange progression to go through. The
I think
year how your age affects fitness.
I think I'm kind of into both, you know, because I'm like I really care about my bench press, you know, like I really
Oh, it's the best, dude. It's so much
yeah.
fun.
I think
It's
like
so
for
much
my
fun.
weight, I have a pretty good bench press. I need to search up in pounds though. So sorry, give me like 2 seconds.
Yeah, no
58. So
worries.
I weigh 130 pounds, but I'll bench 154. You know, so
Pounds.
that's something like oh sorry, my mom's calling me. Can I pick up for like 2 seconds?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, bro.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries, dude. Yeah,
Can we carry? Oh,
I got like 5 minutes. My brother's gonna be here soon.
that's fine.
We gotta put on our winter tires on our car. See, this is why, man. When you get older, this is the stuff you have to do. It eats up your time putting on
Yep.
tires for your car.
Yeah, I've never had to do
Shit.
that.
It's well, you like the UK. UK has snow, right? You guys have
No,
freaking
no.
winters. You don't?
Rain. Just rain.
You don't have snow?
We have wet, rainy winters.
Oh, really?
Yep. I don't remember the
Oh,
last time it snowed here properly. I think the last
wow.
time I saw snow, like big, like snow, I was like 7, 6.
Wow, I did not know that because I thought of like geography, like where the United Kingdom is, like to the north. Like I thought all the northern countries just got snow. Well, how
That's what I would think as
ignorant am
well.
I?
Because I was like, surely it rains, or like surely because it's super cold, it would snow, right? But no, it just rains. It's terrible.
Oh, that's so weird. Dang, I just always assumed you guys had snow. That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
maybe in other areas, but here never.
Okay. Well, what part of the UK are you in?
Northeast, south, west, like southwest UK, but no, sorry, southeast UK, but
Southeast.
southwest
Okay.
London.
Okay. So does the northern part get snow or no?
Maybe I really don't know.
I find I'm like I can't believe I didn't know that.
I wish it snowed
I
here.
just always assumed snow. Oh man, snow's a pain in the ass, bro. Like the amount of
Really?
car accidents that happen
Oh,
on the road. Oh my gosh, it's wild, dude.
yeah. Here, yeah, just wet, and it's awful.
Just wet and awful.
Yes,
Well, when you move the business to Thailand, you'll get that nice sun, bro.
yes,
It'll be you'll be living life.
yeah. That's the dream.
All right, bro. Let's wrap up the podcast. I
Yep.
gotta go. This was super interesting conversation. We went a lot longer
Yeah, I had a great
than I
time.
did. Is there any social media or business websites or anything that you have that you want to promote?
Mm, no, I have nothing that I need to promote.
Okay. Well, in the future, if you do, let me know. Definitely would love to have another conversation in the future.
Yep.
And thanks for coming on the podcast, Martin. This
Thank
was
you for
awesome.
having me.
No worries. All right, guys. Peace. Peace.